Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 300 of The Gaming Outsider. Yes, 300. We really appreciate you guys sticking around with us for so many episodes. On this week's episode, we are talking about memories of renting games and whether or not there's a future for that kind of service in the next generation of gaming. In news, we talk about the delay of Cyberpunk 2077, EA's Play Live presentation this week, and more. New games discussed will be The Last of Us 2. We'll talk about that at great length. Also, CB's been playing a game called Beyond Blue, and I finished Outbuddies DX. Totally changed my mind on that game. Also, you hear our thoughts on Those Who Remain on PC, Superball 8 on Oculus Rift, and Atomicrops on the Nintendo Switch. Let's let it not be for nothing. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 300 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, June 15th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow co-host, Zach Parkerson.
What was that number? I can't count that high.
300. Not 9,000. 300.
I love you 300, buddy.
Excited? I love you 300 as well, man. Also joining us, Chris Berensmeyer.
What up, yo?
I love you 3,000.
I
just saying.
hate you 9,000.
Wow.
Jeez.
I just said that I loved you 10 times more than Zach, and your response is that you hate me. I love
love and hate are in the same thread. It's just the opposite sides of the coin.
Yeah, as we learned from the games we played this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, holy cow. Yes, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us 2 quite a bit, but we'll get to that in the near future. Sit tight. We promise we'll talk about that. And I want to say right now, we're going to be as spoiler-free as possible. So please understand, when we talk about that game, we're not going to ruin it for you. I hate it when people ruin games for us.
That's hard. It's a hard game to talk about without spoilers.
Yes.
It is. It's very difficult. We're going to have to speak very generally about the gameplay and just like general feelings about how we feel about the story. But we are already planning on a spoiler cast for this game because, God, how long did we talk about the game before we started this recording tonight? And I had to be like, guys, stop. We need to say this for the spoiler cast.
Well, that's excluding the fact we've been texting each other all week or all weekend, you know?
Oh my God. I feel like I've texted you guys this week more than I have in 2 months.
Where are you? Where are you?
Yeah.
What can I talk about?
What day are you on? Yeah. It's been kind of crazy. We've been trying to speak in code until I accidentally spoiled a major story beat for Zach. Sorry about that, Zach.
Yeah, it's cool, man. No big deal.
I thought I was texting a buddy of mine who already finished the game, and I texted Zach instead, and I felt horrible that I revealed somewhat of a story beat in the game. That was a very, very poor judgment part on my part, but anyway, we'll get to Last of Us 2, but we promise we will not spoil anything. But spoiler alert. No, this isn't a spoiler alert. That's not what I mean by that. We all really like it a lot so far. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but want to give everybody a reminder. We are having a community game night this Saturday, June 27th at, is that this Saturday? It is this Saturday, right?
Yes.
So I said the date wrong a second ago. It is not June 15th. It's actually June 22nd. So those of you that are writing into me right now saying, hey, it's not the 15th, Scott. It is actually the 22nd. My apologies. I Ron Burgundied the intro once again. June 22nd is the date. So this Saturday, June 27th, we're doing a community game night about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. There is an invite available on Facebook right now. So if you're on the Facebook group, you can join over there. We're going to be playing Minecraft Dungeons. I will be there for certain. Are either of you planning to be there? Yes, no, maybe so?
Going to try.
You're going to try or try not? No, wait, try not, do or do not. There is no try.
Well,
I got there eventually.
Kids get in the way.
Try not, do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah. It took me a second.
It's okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
Indeterminate on my appearance.
Also, I can't go an episode in the past couple weeks without busting somebody's chops. If anybody would like to play Borderlands 1 remastered with me, I'm looking for someone to partner to play that this week. So anybody, please hit me up because I want to play through that game again. I miss Borderlands. Also, we did our drawing this week for our physical copy of The Last of Us Part 2, obviously on PS4. Congratulations to Brian Rigotti, who won that copy. And I actually talked to him today. He gave me his address, and turns out he's actually very close to us here in Rockford. And I'm going to be hand-delivering it to him later this week.
Look at you.
So, yeah. Well, it's so close. It's like, why spend the $4 when I can just drive up there and meet the dude in person?
Oh, so it's about being a cheapskate. Okay.
Yeah, it's more about me being a cheapskate more than me, like, wanting to interact with my community. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
You're calling me out.
I'm not saying it. You're saying it.
No. I don't know that I've ever met Brian in person. I feel like I've known the name for a long time, but yeah. If I've met him in person and I don't remember, I apologize, Brian. I love you, but we'll get you that copy as soon as possible. And trust me, you are in for a treat, good sir. You are in for a treat. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. All right, so new game trailers we got this week. We got a new Crash Bandicoot 4. I believe it's called It's About Time. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed once again. Now our new date is November 19th. Also, the Guinness World Records reinstated Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong and Pac-Man high scores. We'll talk about that possibly. We had EA's Play Live for June that took place this past week with some interesting announcements. We got potential prices for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, but they're heavily rumored and or leaked. And lastly, Microsoft shut down Mixer actually today, and will be partnering instead with Facebook Gaming for the foreseeable future. Lots and lots to talk about this week. Once again, who wants to start?
Yo, Star Wars Squadrons!
Oh my god. We started here last week, by the way.
Yes.
Although we hadn't seen the gameplay trailer.
Let's keep the theme running. Man, that game looks astounding.
Yes.
And I don't mean to disparage this statement by what I'm going to say. It looks astounding for $40. Like, I'm still baffled that this game is only a $39.99 title.
Yeah. They could not have done a better job marketing to a hardcore audience of gamers. Like, it has a story, it's single player mode, it's not a live service game, no microtransactions, $40, full VR support.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. There's no reason not to buy this game.
I was slightly disappointed that it is 100% cockpit view, if I'm going to be honest, because I really love me some third-person Star Wars action. I like to see my X-Wing while I'm flying it, but I'll take it.
That's why I said that was a bold choice to just do first-person. Because like some people are going to be upset about it, but I would also prefer third-person, not going to lie. But the whole like redirecting your shield's energy and all that stuff.
Yep.
That works a lot better in first person if you're seeing your character do the nozzles and stuff.
I kind of feel like, I don't know how the gameplay is going to work because we haven't seen it, but I feel like you're going to be able to move the stuff in the cockpit, like maybe with a D-pad, to do certain actions, maybe interact with something with one of the shoulder buttons, or I don't know. That's how I imagine it being, because you got to fly at the same time while you're doing all this stuff.
Right.
And that's the only way that's going to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine. When you have that many functions, you have to simplify the controls somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool that you can make your own pilot, right, of different species and stuff. That's cool, super cool. And they have that.
Well, what's even cooler, you can do it one as the Empire and one as the Rebellion. So you actually get to pick two characters even before the campaign starts.
Are they?
So you're going to be playing through the campaign as both.
Would they be? Are they the New Republic at that point?
Yes. Because I believe
between 6 and 7,
I believe this game takes place after 6.
It's after the Battle of Endor.
The New Republic didn't start till right before 7, so in theory, this could take place before the New Republic.
The New Republic. They talk about the New Republic even in the Mandalorian.
Okay,
because he's like, ha, that's a joke.
I'm
pretty sure technically the New Republic begins as a governing body as soon as as long as the Emperor is assassinated, basically.
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyway, welcome to the Star Wars cast.
Yeah, we do it every week, but regardless, I am so on board for this game. The 5-on-5 stuff even just fascinates me. The one where you play as one team attacking the big ships and the other team is defending those same ships at the same time. I genuinely don't know which one sounds more fun to me. because normally I hate defense missions in games. I hate defending whatever ship I'm doing. But if I'm playing against people instead of AI, I'm not focusing on defending my ship. I'm just focusing on smoking as many of the other players as I can.
Well, of course, yeah.
And that sounds so much better to me. And I'm like baffled that game is intriguing me as much as it is, even though the hallmark mode of this game is the one where you are playing as possibly defending, and that sounds fun to me. That doesn't seem right to me that I want to defend.
You're defending multiple points on a gigantic ship.
Still, I feel like it's going to be like find this enemy on your screen and go annihilate them as quickly as possible instead of, well, I guess that's what you do in a campaign when you're doing defending anyway, I suppose, but there's something about having that human pilot aspect that's making it stand out to me more as, like, I'm not just fighting the computer to defend this, because when you're playing against a computer, it's just, the AI was always dumb.
Well, yeah.
Now I'm playing against people. Well, I mean, it just feels like the stakes are higher.
Video game AI has advanced quite a bit since the last starfighting game we got.
That's fair.
What was the last one? Was it Rebel Strike?
Is that the third Rogue Squadron?
I think so, yeah. Because Rogue Squadron 2 was Rogue Leader.
Right. Which I think is the best one of the three, because 3 was kind of bad.
I don't know. I would have to replay them, but I like 3 because I like the occasional on-foot missions.
We replayed that recently for was it Games That Aren't For Us episode?
Yes.
I don't remember. That game does not hold up very well.
All right. Well.
The on-foot missions in particular are awful.
We played that with Jedi Starfighter.
Yes, Jedi Starfighter.
Regardless.
Yeah. I just the sheer thought of flying an X-Wing or a TIE fighter or any of these combination of fighters, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
This is the game I've wanted for 30 years.
It is, and it's cross-play, so we do not have to decide on a console.
Yeah.
Play it on.
How fantastic is that?
Everybody,
we can all play together regardless.
In fact, there are no excuses now. We all have to play.
Can I also throw a quick shout out? Friend of the show, Courtney Taylor, is in the game.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's right. She is, isn't she?
She's the Imperial Commander.
Oh. Wait, Ray Sloan?
Nice.
Or just like unnamed commander?
I don't know, but the Imperial voice that's like talking to you, the female.
Okay.
Like motivating the troops, that's Courtney.
I assumed it was Ray. It looks like Ray Sloan, but that's cool. Good job, Courtney.
That is cool.
And Harrison Dula's in the game. And I did a quick search just to make sure I was right. And it is the New Republic.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. I was wrong. I concede. I was wrong.
I know.
So
I know you are.
As exciting as... No, go ahead.
The fact that it's not a live service game makes you want to play the hell out of it.
Right. Like they've learned their mistakes from Battlefield?
Yeah,
Battlefront?
I mean, I get the appeal of the live service game, but there's something about the fact, like, if we want to play it 4 months from now, 4 months after release or whatever, that we could just be like, oh yeah, let's hit up that map we like, you know? And you don't have to worry about, oh man, what's been changed? Oh, they have 16 new maps and 4 new ships. God, this is over, you know. This game's changed.
You don't have to give up like half of your hard drive space on your console to download like you do for Call of Duty.
That's nice too.
Like seriously, every time I see those updates, I'm like, holy cow! I'm kind of glad I'm not playing that game right now because those updates are ridiculous.
Yes,
kind of crazy. Anyway, CB, what story do you want to talk about?
Well, I was gonna say because the Rogue Squadron, because Squadrons was part of the EA one. Can we just quickly say like the rest of the show was kind of hot trash?
Well, what's funny is I watched this live with you again, and we got, 3 or 4 different announcements into the show, and it was all old games.
Yep.
It was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Apex just as much as Zach does. Maybe not as much as Zach does. I like Apex. But the first announcement was Apex, then it was Sims 4.
Right.
Then it was, like everything was, Madden, FIFA, which I understand that's their best-selling franchise. They're not going to not talk about it. I feel like all the new stuff we got on that presentation was the indie stuff.
Well, and and they knew they didn't have anything, right? Because they're just like, yeah, we're thinking of, Skate 4. We sure did draw a skateboard on some concept art.
Yeah, there wasn't there wasn't even any gameplay or shots or anything. It was just like, yeah, this is happening, guys. Just to let you know.
Yeah, you commented into existence, guys.
Yeah. So, as far as news stories that I want to talk about, the possible price leaks for the new consoles got me pretty excited.
I don't want to have a thing to do with that.
I know. I knew as soon as I put it on there, Zach, I was not going to want to talk about that. And even when I argued with you over text about this, and I'm like, dude, there's no way that this is true. There's no way in hell this is true.
The more and more I've been reading into it, the more and more it seems like it is a possibility.
You gave the man a seat on the show. And now we have to listen to this.
I wanted to talk about this because I don't want to mention Billy Mitchell's and that. I hate that man. I'm like, don't want to talk about that ever again.
All right, CB, it's your story. Tell everybody what you want them to hear.
Let's do the rumor.
Again, we need to have like a rumor alert.
Yes, this is a rumor
on our show,
alert.
The rumor alert is the sound of CB's voice.
Shut up. I will openly say I do agree that this is probably high speculation, but supposedly the PS5 was leaked on Amazon France price point. Mm-hmm. US conversion, it'll be $565 for the one with a drive and $450 for the digital version.
Well, and again, that's always the conversion from euros. And I feel like whenever they do that, it's never like that halfway point. It's still going to be like $499, $390. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like half. The consoles never sell at the $449 mark, right? Have we ever had a console that sold at that?
Only when it's on sale.
Right. It was always at that that round 3-digit number, $299.
Well, there's certainly.
You know what I mean?
Certainly, not going to do a console at $565.
No.
Right. That was just like the almost exact comparison from the euro exchange rate.
But if you want to talk about these rumor, do you really think it'll be $100 gap between the disk drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I think $100 is fair, actually.
You're looking at the inclusion of an optical drive for a 4K disk system, which most of those are about $100.
At least. I think $100 is perfectly fair.
Yes. I actually think it'll be $499 for the one with and $399 for without, because you also have to remember in Europe they have the VAT, like the tax added. So when you look at $565 and $450, it makes sense that it would be $499 and $399.
Again, we are not speaking fact at all. We are speaking completely speculatory at this point.
But speculatory.
I'm going to say that. I
think the digital version will be $500 and the disc version will be $550. That's my speculation.
That's your guesstimation.
That's my completely out of my butt guess. That $100 price gap, like why? I speculated this on Twitter. Like, if you're a retailer, why would you carry it?
Because people like you that want your physical media are hanging on to that like it's a rosary bead or something.
Why would you? Okay,
as a retailer, why would you want to sell the digital only version?
Right, which is so much cheaper.
Because they're not gonna buy the
games from you.
They're not gonna buy discs from you.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, you look at stores like Walmart and GameStop already; they have just those cards that you get the code.
But what kind of?
That is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Who's buying those?
I've bought a couple.
Okay. But you also like digital. I don't know.
No, I hate digital.
Oh, man. Oh. Yes.
Scott is the digital lover.
How's Scott get all these games from you?
What do you mean?
On your accounts.
He usually buys
he said
the digital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Scott loves digital. I hate digital. But
so now let's get into the real BS part of your story here that you really want to talk about.
So there's been a heavy rumor that came from supposedly a very reputable person. That
I'm air quoting right now, and our listeners can't see it, but these are like the most hardcore quotation marks I can do on the air right now because this is so stupid.
So the Xbox Series X is rumored to be $400 or $500.
Okay.
But there is a digital version only, which supposedly has slightly dumbed down hardware, and it will be quote unquote $200.
Okay, slightly dumbed down hardware. So an Xbox One Series X. I'm sorry, an Xbox One X.
It's actually a 360.
I mean, like, why would you want to buy, if it's a dumbed down version, why would you want to buy a dumbed down version of it?
Well, the more I've been reading into it, they're making the power supply external.
Okay.
So it's not internal like the Series X is.
That doesn't bother. I don't mind having an external power supply on mine.
But it's, again, this is all highly speculative. There's a lot of people that are talking, the Xbox insiders, like in podcasts. There's Project Lockhart, which is supposedly the code name for the Series X all digital version.
Which, if the pictures are true that you've seen, it looks like an Xbox Series X cut in half and white. Like, it looks like half of the tower of an Xbox Series X. It's half the size, so it's half the price now, apparently.
Well, it can't be any uglier than the PS5.
Popping collars.
I'm not going into that, but there is no way that Microsoft is going to unveil a brand new console. I don't care if it is a dumbed down version of it. There is no way they are selling new hardware for $200 that is, unless it's just a repackaged Xbox One X. If that's all it is, if the guts are an Xbox One X and they've made it to look like an Xbox Series X, first off, I think that's misleading.
That's why it's called the Series S.
The Series S. And all it really is an Xbox One X inside a Series X half-pint box. If that's true, I'm going to be seriously angry because that is misleading as hell.
I will agree. I really want this to be true because I just want to see you eat crow.
I want to be wrong. I want to be able to play any new Xbox Series X game for $200. You guys know, well, it's not fair to say that I'm not a big graphics guy. I just want to be able to play the new games, but I'm also sitting on a nicer TV now that's already outdated now that I've had it for a year.
Yes.
So I'm going to want to have the best that I can get. I don't care about the disc. I'll pay, I want the digital version that's going to look the best on my TV. That's what I want. But if I already have an Xbox Series X and the Series S is just what I already have in a box that looks like half of an Xbox Series X, and it's not going to make my games look any better, and then it's going to lock me out of playing Xbox One Series X exclusive games when those come out in a year, then I have zero. Why would I ever want to buy this?
I know. I'm
getting heated. Holy
yes,
cow.
You are.
Yeah, man, you're mad. What's going on?
I really do hope that the digital version. I'm just saying this because I want to see the pressure back in the console wars. If they really do make an all digital version that's half the price, do you realize how much pressure that puts on Sony to perform?
I think
I'm with you, but you are also masking that under the guise of you like the competition when really deep down you just want Microsoft to supersede Sony.
You do not have to worry about it. PlayStation will screw themselves over. Xbox will take the lead. That's how this goes. That is the cycle.
I mean, I want both companies to succeed. As you've clearly seen over the past couple weeks, I've been playing my PlayStation 4 more than my Xbox.
That's true. That's true.
I've always been about all the companies succeeding. I just want pressure to be put out there for both companies to basically put up or shut up. It's just how I feel. Like, I want the best possible thing out there on the market at the best possible price for everyone. Like, if Xbox really does come out and drop their prices as low as they're trying to claim they are,
well, we don't know if they are. Somebody on the internet is claiming that they are.
Xbox has actually already come out and said that they are they are anticipating a $399 price for the Series X. The digital version at $200, yes, that's still heavy rumor. But the fact that there's already quotes out there saying that they want the Series X at $399, if they are pricing the PS5 at $500, that's already $100 cheaper.
You're right. And that's why we're playing this game of chicken right now between these two companies.
Yes.
To see who's going to go first, so that the second company can undercut them. That's the game we're playing right now. But I'm telling you right now, on air, CB, if Microsoft comes out with a brand new Xbox console, even if it is a Xbox One X stuffed in a half-size Xbox Series X for $200, $199, I will buy you a steak dinner.
Okay.
That is because there is no way that's going to happen. There's 0% chance that $199 for a brand new console is going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
And if it is, not only am I going to enjoy a steak dinner with you on me, which will, be bittersweet, it will anger me to no end that they are packaging an old console in a new case that is going to limit somebody's experience down the road. Because that just sounds garbage.
I will agree.
Because we've been talking about this for a while. The appeal of the Xbox Series X at launch is the graphical capabilities. There's no exclusives. There's no reason to buy it unless you just want to have the best looking games, because there's no new games that are come out that are not going to also play on your Xbox One X or your Xbox One. So you're going to sell me a console even though it's dirt cheap, and then in a year I'm not going to be able to play the new games on it. That's crap.
I will agree. So let's move on before Scott gets any angrier.
Yeah,
he's turning red, kids.
Speaking of Microsoft, Mixer failed experiment.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of people were saying like, well, I didn't see this coming, but if you followed Twitter the last couple of days, I definitely saw this coming.
Yeah.
It was kind of inevitable. There's been some accusations, politically charged accusations within the Mixer management system, and they've been called out on it. Phil Spencer got involved, and apparently Mixer is no more.
Wait, because they said some political stuff?
Oh yeah,
I thought it was because nobody watched it.
Maybe that's part of it, but the political aspect of it definitely spilled over. There's a story been floating around on Twitter about an employee that complained about a manager that had some racist comments, and it blew up on Twitter, and it caught the attention of Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer talked to this individual and decided to look into it, and that was yesterday when I first read the tweet about it. And today they announced that Mixer is just being shut down completely, and they're now going to be going through Facebook gaming. Facebook gaming instead.
They had to have already been considering this then, right?
It's possible. I mean, I hate to. We don't do politics here, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to look at something like this and think, oh well, Mixer's numbers weren't as high as Twitch and all that, but we need a reason to back down. So let's take the. I don't even want to say it because I don't know. I'm not there. Yeah. You know where I'm going though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just move on and say Billy Mitchell's scum, and then
Well, there is one important implication about this Mixer story that I think we should talk about, and that is what happens to Ninja.
Yes.
Because Ninja just signed a $20 million deal with Mixer to go to them exclusively. And I think you told me a couple hours ago, CB, that he's now out of the contract. Before
we started recording, Ninja and Shroud, the two people that sign contracts, are free and clear of their contracts and can go back to Twitch.
So they made it like bandits, son.
Yeah, they did.
That's just free money for them.
Wow. As if playing video games wasn't already easy money.
Yeah. Oh, and what kind of message is that sending to kids? Yeah, I can make $20 million playing video games just by, switching sides.
Get in, get out. Well, I would have assumed their contract would extend to Facebook Gaming, but all right, I guess not.
It's an exclusive to Mixer.
Yeah, that sucks.
Mixer is no more, so the contract is null and void.
That sucks.
So is it confirmed? Are they going back to Twitch then? I mean, that's the only other logical choice, right?
I actually just read Ninja's tweet before we started recording saying that he loves the community he built on Mixer. However, moving forward, he has some decisions to make.
Which sounds ambiguous. Like I don't want to be on Twitch, but it sure does look like the only option.
unless you want to go Facebook gaming.
Or I guess you can stream on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
you can. But can I be honest? I didn't know Facebook gaming was a thing until today.
No, of course not. Nobody did.
I had no clue that was a service. None.
Well, my only hope is if Microsoft and Facebook are pairing up, that sooner or later, maybe the Oculus will be Microsoft's go-to VR platform.
I wish you guys could see the look of joy on CB's face right now. He just looks like practically giddy with like the possibility of that. But
the fact that I can play Star Wars Squadrons on my Xbox with a VR headset.
Let's do it.
I mean, admit it, you would be pretty giddy if that happened too.
I agree. I got one more story I want to mention before we head out, and we'll be brief because there's not much to say here. But yes, Cyberpunk was delayed once again. November 19th is the new date, and there's a whole letter that came here from the co-founder and head of the studio explaining why. And I don't know about you guys. I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm going to say for me, I am 100% okay with this. That is a game that feels like it needs polish, and I'm not hurting for games right now. I've got plenty to play. Take your time with this one. At this point, even before all the delays, I'm not 100% sold that this is a game that I have to play anyway. This is a 300-hour game, it seems like to me. So take all the time you need.
After their fifth delay, I really think they should just don't give me a date, man. Like that's the problem is you've now given me a date, and I'm going to be anticipating that date. And what happens when it gets delayed again?
Well, the joke running around is, I think Nate made the joke actually first, is like they're actually shooting for a 2077 release date.
There you go. I mean, I always feel bad for people who like put in their vacation time requests and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, delay a game, sure. I have no interest in Cyberpunk 2077. So
my interest is waning, and I feel like I'm in the minority of that. But I hope I'm wrong. I'm not the guy who looks like Deus Ex but bigger. But you know what? I'm excited for Avengers because they were going to go neck and neck with Cyberpunk, and I know Avengers the movies are huge, but I don't think it had a shot going up against Cyberpunk. No way. No. Yeah,
there's
no way.
It's had such a botched unveiling and rollout. Avengers, and then you throw it up against what seems to be, in my lifetime, I don't feel like I've ever seen a more hyped game than Cyberpunk.
Agreed. Well, Last of Us was pretty pumped.
But even that, like all that controversy going in and stuff, like,
right?
People were upset. It just feels like everybody is on cloud 9 about Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, which is weird because I still feel like we don't really know what that game is.
No, all you need to know is The Witcher 3 dudes made it.
Right. That's all you need to know.
And Keanu Reeves is in it.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's the bigger sell.
The internet's god, Keanu Reeves, is also in it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on.
Wait, hold on.
I just want to remind everybody.
EA.
Oh, you got more.
I just want to say, how does EA go an entire console generation without a Dead Space or Mass Effect remake?
Thank you.
What the hell?
It's like EA is allergic to remakes.
It's just, remasters. They're just afraid of. What are they afraid of? Andromeda do so badly that they're like, no more.
You know what? I got the answer. What we do is we give them the idea of creating these reboots or remasters of Mass Effect and Dead Space, but we don't call them reboots and remasters. We call them microtransactions.
Oh, yes.
And then we can just like come up with a new phrase called macrotransactions or something, and then they'll be on board with it.
Yeah.
Right?
I would macro transaction $15 per Dead Space game.
That perfectly fine. $45, 40, 50. I pay $50 for a Dead Space.
Yeah. I would pay 60 easy for either one, honestly.
Would you really want a macro transaction with microtransactions in it?
Whatever it takes to play Dead Space 2 on PS4, man.
Thank you.
I don't care what it takes.
There's something to be said about it, like the fact that I don't want to replay those games on 360, through my Xbox One, because I have no incentive to anymore outside of just the experience itself. Just reset my achievements to give me another 1,000 achievement points, and I'll be fine.
There's something in our monkey brains where you're like, hey, this old thing is new again, and we're like, well, then I have to play it again.
Doesn't that seem like something EA would be all over?
Yes, you would think that EA would be the company of remasters.
And I don't mean that in a necessarily negative way about EA. It's going to come across that way. But that just seems like easy money. We all want Mass Effect remasters. We all want Dead Space remasters.
Throw out a Skate trilogy remaster, even.
I've never even played a Skate game, but sure, I know that there are people that still rave about Skate 3 as one of the best sports games of all time.
Well, I mean, as much as you say EA like shies away from remasters, they do them every year with Madden, FIFA, and the other ones.
You gotta be careful calling those a remaster, man.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, CB said that.
Yeah. That is CB at thegamingoutsider.com. That's not actually his email address, but don't email it. You won't go anywhere. All right. We got to move on before we get CB in more trouble. I want to remind everybody, we are an independently funded podcast, which means we must pay for our podcast hosting services, website, everything, all on our own, which is why we do have a Patreon page where fans, if they'd like, can contribute monthly to help offset the costs of production, as well as allow us to give back to the community, like we did earlier this month with a giveaway of a copy of The Last of Us 2. So if you'd like to help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. We have several different levels. $3 a month will give you access to one bonus episode. $5 a month will give you access to 2 bonus episodes. CB, what episodes are out there available for people right now?
Most recently are games that aren't for us. Assassin's Creed Edition, starring Spencer, myself, and Nate Lucas. You can figure out who was the not for us.
Yes, you heard that right. Games that aren't for us. Assassin's Creed. I was not on that episode. I'm going to say that right now.
Then we also have our upcoming Break the Seal Uncharted series. Mm-hmm. And we also did a What We're Playing, Those Who Remain, Superball, Ache, and Atomicrops.
Yes, you're going to hear those recordings actually later on in this episode, but we gave our Patreon subscribers early access to that, so you get to hear those a little bit ahead of time. All right, if any of that sounds interesting to you, I know that CB and I actually sat down with Christina from our team to sit down and play a bunch of
adult titles,
dirty games, adult titles. We sat down. That was an interesting experience.
Wait, who's on that episode?
It was me, CB, and Christina.
Okay.
We forced her to play a bunch of dirty games as far back as the Atari 2600 that had some adult-only titles.
The water temple floweth.
There was a new game that I was introduced to that was basically an adult movie in video game form. It wasn't even a game. It was just basically an excuse to have those movies in Cinemax you have at night.
Well, softcore.
It was basically that. You didn't even play a game. You just clicked a button and watched a movie.
That sounds pretty cool.
And we were watching this. It was me, CB, and Christina sitting there watching this thing, waiting to see what happens. And it was straight up exactly what you think it is. Anyway.
And you played Custer's Revenge, of course.
We did play Custer's Revenge.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm not sure how comfortable I feel about talking about that game.
Not on this episode.
On an episode. But yeah, we'll get to there. But anyway, if you'd like to hear that episode in the future or any of our current episodes, which goes all the way back for like over a year, there's tons of content there, guys. Patreon.com/thegocast. $3 or $5 a month will give you access to those episodes, and we really do appreciate the support. It helps us keep things running here. Let's go ahead and jump into the games that we've actually been playing. All right, Zach, what's new coming out this week?
Sure. First up, adorable looking game, Pokemon Cafe Mix, which is Pokemon and coffee. It's going to Switch, iOS, and Android June 23rd. Duke Nukem 3D gets yet another re-release with the 20th Anniversary Edition World Tour on Nintendo Switch, June 23rd. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom gets remastered with the rehydrated version of the game for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC in June 23rd. Shout out to my sister who liked that game, even though it was awful when we were kids.
But I never played it.
Sure, apparently people love it because they demanded it, get remade. Allegedly, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer will finally come out on PS4 and Switch June 23rd. I'm waiting for a last-minute press release that tells me that's untrue any second now. So that's happened once. Tower of Time, isometric action game, because PS4 and Switch, June 23rd. Ninjala, the next big Nintendo Switch exclusive, June 24th. Crying Suns comes to iOS and Android, June 25th. Phantom Covert Ops, which is a kayaking stealth game, is coming to Oculus Rift and Quest.
It's way cooler than it sounds. I played it.
Yeah, I remember you played E3, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It actually works a lot better than you would think it does.
No, I remember you talking about how awesome it was.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But it is still a hilarious thing to say out loud.
Like, when you describe that to somebody, like, yeah, you just like kayak through water and shoot people.
Imagine Sam Fisher was on a boat.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good description of that game. Like, you have to be covert in a kayak.
Right. The Almost Gone, which is a really slick-looking puzzler, comes to Switch, PC, iOS, and Android June 25th. Fairy Tail, based on the insanely popular anime, comes to PS4, Switch, and PC June 26th. And then finally, Live Out Your King Lifestyle and Yes, Your Grace, an Xbox One and Switch June 26th. That looks like if the third act of Fable 3 was its own video game.
Ooh. Never played the third Fable. Did I miss out?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, well, yeah, you did.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it was terrible. You guys are the only two people I've ever heard to say anything positive about Fable 3.
They're wrong.
Wow.
I liked it.
It's worth it for, if you didn't get to the ending, it would not be worth it.
Oh, okay. I see.
But that's where, sometimes you just got to play a game for a dozen hours before you really understand the narrative hook. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. Try saying that to a person that watches TV shows and say, you got to wait till season 2 or 3 before it gets good.
I'm talking.
And you get shot.
Well,
so.
Yes, I'm. Anyway, I thought you would understand that joke better.
I'm mildly interested in this Pokemon Cafe mix just because I'm a sucker for Match 3 games. Even though I have no desire, I don't really have any inclination towards the Pokemon series, but I love me some Match 3 games.
It just looks cute, man.
It does.
It's going to be an interesting game considering Nintendo stepping away from mobile games.
Also, I noticed you did not put on this list the Pokemon Smile game that came out this past week.
Oh, I must have missed. What is that?
It is the game that teaches kids how to brush their teeth.
Aw, yeah, no, I didn't come up on my release date list, I guess.
Well, it actually came out the day they announced it, so this one came out actually in time, but it wouldn't have hit your releases last week.
What about CB? What about anything catching your eye this week?
I'm gonna be playing Yes, Your Grace.
Are you?
Yes.
It looks pretty cool, man.
And I'll probably pick up Phantom Covert Ops.
Well, it is a VR game.
I really think you'll like that, man. I really do.
Star Wars Episode 1 Racer for me. I should have been playing it 2 months ago, but whatever. Thanks, COVID.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get into it. If you can't tell, we switched things up a little bit this week. We are doing the games that we've been playing after the news. So we're going to talk about The Last of Us 2. Again, I will say once again, we will be as vague as possible with the story beats because there's a lot that happens in this game, and there's a lot that needs to be experienced to really fully appreciate that. So we'll dance around it as best as we can. But if you're one of those people that just doesn't want to hear a thing about this game, I fully understand. Skip ahead, look at the liner notes, or the show notes rather, and skip ahead to the next review because we're going to talk about it, but we will not give away any story beats. So, Last of Us, Part 2.
The aliens, when they come up in those first 30 minutes, I was blown away.
When Sam Fisher showed up at the beginning of the game.
Dude, when Aloy showed up, though, that was nuts. I was like, finally, the crossover we need. I imagine Kratos probably shows up by the end.
I have a list of notes here that I took while playing the game for the 25, 28 hours I played of it. But who wants to start?
First of all, I would like to point out that we all complain about game lengths, right? Okay, maybe not CV as much, but and then we almost all put like 25, 30 hours into one video game in a freaking weekend.
Yeah, not a week, a weekend. We all put over a day into this game.
So it's less about length and more about pacing, apparently.
This is not going to be spoilery in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, here we go.
This is a game.
Spoiler of the podcast.
No. This is a game that when I started playing this, I could not put this down.
No. I'm mad at recording.
I had to put it down, but I complained about it.
Yes. The whole time I wasn't. The whole time we were not playing, we were texting each other going like, I really wish I was playing this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I really feel like this game brought us the three together more than it has this year in terms of communication.
Yeah, I mean, CDB didn't play Final Fantasy VII right off the bat, or he was gone, right? Saving the world or whatever.
That's true. Zach and I bonded that week that month while you were gone.
Oh, yeah.
But this one brought all three of us together in a way. And I think that's one of the biggest feathers in this game's cap is the fact that this game has elicited so much conversation between the three of us.
Yes.
And because I can't really have conversations with anybody else that hasn't played as far as we have, but there is so much to unpack with what goes on with this story, and I'm blown away. I legitimately am blown away by this game, and I don't know. After I kind of stayed away from the reviews, except for like one or two people that I trust before the game came out. And I've done a really good job, or tried to do a really good job of stay away from everything. But I'm learning after I finished the game that it's like mixed. People are telling me that like people are having mixed reactions to this game, and I don't understand. I'm there's very little I disliked about this game.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for people. It really does feel like a lot of people went in with a chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
About this kind of game, like there are aspects to it that I've gotten some heated Twitter debates about recently, where it's like there are things people are like, oh, it's so pedestrian, it's talking down to the player. Oh, it's a story about revenge. Oh, how blasé. But you have 1,000 stories about a man finding himself through saving a little girl, like the first Last was, and that's applauded. But somehow a story about the cycle of revenge is somehow cliche and tired. I don't understand. It really feels like people kind of went to the game with an agenda.
Well, some of that stems from the fact that a lot of those people feel like the game itself had an agenda, which, again, that's controversy that I probably won't get into on this show. Maybe we'll talk about it in the spoiler cast where we can speak a little more freely. But, there are aspects of this game that are making people angry from a... Do you say political sense?
Yes.
Do you say,
we'll leave it at that.
It's like that's as far as I'll go.
I'll go on record. People get mad at me if you play this game and you actually play it, not just watch stuff online, and you think the game has any kind of like SJW agenda, then that's because you're uncomfortable in your life. I'll say that. That's a Zach Parkinson opinion, because the story does not make a stance. It's just about people being people. And everyone has an equal opportunity for misery in The Last of Us Part 2.
That's a good way to put it. And I'm struggling with how to respond, Zach, because I feel like if I agree with you or disagree with you, somebody's going to be pissed off.
Yeah, that's why I'm not afraid if you're pissed off or if you're mad at me.
No, I understand. Yeah. But that's the thing is like that's what so many people are talking about with this game. And to me, that is so secondary to what this game is about. And this is part of the conversation I had with you, Zach, is I got about a halfway through or 2/3 of the way through the game, and I realized that this game feels like a life lesson in empathy.
Yes.
For so many reasons.
Agreed.
That I wish that people would be open to. And I don't mean this to sound preachy at all, but I went into this game expecting one thing and got something else, and it made me think and question the reality of this fictional story in a way that made me reflect on how I look at things in real life. Am I making sense what I mean by that?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And if anybody listening to this cares about my opinion, and all three of you, just know that like
all three of us. No,
all three people that listen to the show who actually care about my opinion.
I thought you were saying. I thought you were miscounting and saying.
No, I was saying nobody cares. That's what I'm saying. It reminded me of the favorite things that the first Nier made me think of and care about and change my worldview. That's all. So I'm just saying, in terms of themes, this is a much more playable version to get those themes.
Well, and that's something that you mentioned us on text this week, is that a lot of people are saying that like this. I was lauding the storytelling in this game, like I've never seen this before, and you're like, well, yeah, that's because you haven't played Nier.
Yeah,
and again, I know that I know that people get annoyed that you talk about that game series so much, but the fact that I played this and you told me that makes me want to go play Nier.
Yes, play Replicant when it comes out.
Yeah, well, I plan to.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Anyway. I just, that was the biggest thing I wanted to say about this game, is if you play this game, even if you were concerned about the controversial aspects of this game, try to go into this game with an open mind. And I don't mean that to try to convince you to change your thinking about the political aspects or the social aspects that we've been talking about, but go into it with an open mind in regards to empathy and understanding somebody else's point of view. And I'm not talking about somebody's point of view about the issues that people are going to think I'm talking about.
And this is,
again, I'm dancing around.
So hard to talk about because of their marketing strategy.
Yes.
Which has been brilliant. Oh, there's one aspect I want to talk about after you finish the game, Zach, that has to do with the marketing that just, and CB knows what I'm talking about. But let's talk about the game itself and things we can talk about, because I went into this game with a lot of trepidation because I recently tried to play through the first one and got frustrated because I did not like the gameplay. And I kept getting less and less excited to play the new one. And I am happy to say I enjoyed almost every single encounter I had in this game. Are you guys with me that they fixed the stealth?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I messaged you, Scat, where I was like, this might be one of the great redemption stories in video games, because The Last of Us has some of the absolute worst stealth that I've ever played. Especially, I recently replaying it. I was like, there were better stealth games in 2013 than this. This is garbage. And now it's one of the most fun stealth games. I am loving the stealth in this.
I wasn't
like, seriously, I'm not dreading encounters anymore. Like I dreaded it every time it happened. There
are some times where I'm like talking to characters, I'm like, this is all fascinating, but I kind of want to murder somebody.
There is something immensely satisfying about coming into an area just swarming with enemies, or what feels like it's swarming with enemies, and you figure out a way to get rid of all of them without firing a single shot. That the looter mentality in me just makes me happy because I didn't lose out on anything. And that's the big thing, is like in the first game, if you wanted to one hit kill somebody by sneaking up on them, you had to waste a shiv.
Only on the clickers.
For the clickers, right. And that was, well, I guess you have to with this one as well, but I feel like I was never hampered by, I could just still get away with doing that. And it was so liberating to not have to worry about that.
You don't have to waste a shiv, you have a switchblade.
Yeah.
I will openly say I played the first half of this game slightly different than you did, because I am a run and gun player.
Yes, you are.
But I mean, even the shootouts are still good though, too.
Oh yeah. And I don't think I really started playing this game stealth style until well into the second act, because I felt like I needed to change my play style. You get where I'm going with that.
Yes.
But the first half of the first act, oh man, it was just run straight into the jaws and go for it.
You can't get away with that later on. For sure. Definitely
not. But man, I really enjoyed the combat in this game. The stealth felt wonderful. I know some people will disagree with me on this, but I actually think this game looks beautiful.
Some of the set pieces, in terms of like just overlooking the horizon or whatever, I just sat and stared.
Yeah.
Stunningly beautiful.
There are so many just bespoke one-off animations too. That, there's an attention to detail in the way the characters act that is almost perhaps second to none. I don't know.
And it was just subtle enough that CB didn't even pick up on it. Again, we're speaking
in code.
Vaguely here. I'm not calling you out, CB, in a negative way. It's just, it was so subtle that one of us didn't even pick up on it. but once I realized it was happening, it made an impact on me for learning about that character. And it was just such an interesting aspect of that personality. I also want to talk, and I know, Zach, you're going to agree with me on this. I think I could sit and watch Ellie put together guns as a YouTube video.
Oh, man. I love it.
For hours.
I relish it.
Oh, no. So I love it, too.
When you go to like upgrade your weapons at like workstations, you actually, instead of like, oh, just my gun just now has a stock or whatever, you watch Ellie take apart this piece here and unscrew this and attach this, and then it makes all the satisfying clicks and everything just looks and sounds awesome. And then that weapon now has that look to it for the rest of the game. Incredible. Loved it.
And going to, like, I know Naughty Dog is infamous for their attention to detail, but did you ever notice that if you were carrying like arrows and there was a cinematic cutscene, it actually counted the amount of arrows that you had? Just the insane amount of detail that has gone into this game is mind-blowing.
Characters take off their shirts in this game.
Yes, you watch them.
Yes, they don't cut away. There's no careful blocking of the character model. They switch it out to the version without the shirt on. The shirt is actually modeled on top of the character with physics. I've never seen that before. That's insane.
And just like the movement even seems fluid. Like when you're talking about like where they change their clothes and you watch them change their clothes, it doesn't seem awkward. Like some animations, like when they change clothes and you actually watch them change clothes, it looks bizarre.
And to be clear, we're not talking about awkwardness in the fact that like, hey, they're taking their clothes off. We're talking about the actual animation. It looks like they're actually doing it. We're not talking about them being naked or anything like that.
It does not look like a David Cage game.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. That shower scene with what's her name in Heavy Rain?
Yeah.
That just felt weird.
Yeah, but, man, like all the stuff you want to talk about in this game is tricky to talk about.
Yes, I will say we're going to talk at length of this game. No joke. I had to stop the conversation before we started recording tonight because we wanted. I feel like the three of us could talk for 3 hours on the different aspects of this game. I cannot wait.
I almost feel that the spoiler cast needs to be broken up into 2 halves.
Right.
Possibly.
Yeah, part 1 and part 2.
It just, man, there is so much powerful stuff going on in this game.
And I will say,
I can't wait.
Not every. I mean, I haven't completed it like you guys, but there is some stuff where it feels a little. I use the term CWE to me. But otherwise, but even where I'm at, it's starting to pay off more than I thought it would. But it's still just there are two different love triangles in this game.
I will say that first love triangle you're talking about has more significance at a singular moment later in the game.
Okay.
That I'm not going to say.
Right.
I agree. It felt a little CW, and I was taken aback by that revelation because I didn't pick up on it like you did. And I didn't really consider it to be that just because I was just so surprised by it, but you saw it coming. There is a bit of a payoff with that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would love to be wrong.
No. And you know what's funny is I couldn't wait to say this. You actually admitted on Twitter to being wrong about the need for a sequel.
Yes. Yeah.
I
should probably say that. This game, at least so far, I don't know, they could totally whiff it at the end. You know, but Naughty Dog took... I remember being annoyed they announced a sequel to this game. Or to The Last of Us. Because it ended so perfectly. And I did not want any of the ambiguity ruined. But the way they handle everything, they have convinced me the sequel needed to happen.
I have a hard time thinking you'll be disappointed by the time you see the end of this game.
I could still live happily in a world where The Last of Us Part 2 was about other characters or whatever. Right. But they handle it better than I ever thought they could. How about that? Like, I am blown away. But I can't say anything, obviously.
So needless to say, all three of us recommend The Last of Us Part 2. 2 of us have finished it. 1 of us is on the cusp of finishing it.
Yeah, it's funny because again, we could talk for hours about it, but we can't.
Yeah, I really like. You guys have no idea how hard it is not to just continue to talk and gush about this game, but we don't want to spoil anything for you because you need to experience this game.
The puzzles. Huge.
Let's talk about that.
Huge improvement, the environmental puzzles. In fact, I didn't even think about the fact, like, look, they use a rope a lot in the game, and you'll know one of my major criticisms of The Last of Us, the original, was that you knew you entered a puzzle room, and you're like, yes, I will look for the ladder now. Oh, I must find a pallet. There is water here. You know, like... Right. It just feels so natural in this game that it wasn't even until there was a ladder where I was like, oh yeah, like I guess all of these things were puzzles, but it didn't feel like, oh, I'm in the puzzle area. It felt like, man, I got to find a way onto the roof.
Right.
Like, and it's so clever in the way the NPCs talk about. They're not like, yeah, it sure would be nice if we could get up there, wouldn't it? You know, they don't do that. Right. They're just like, yeah, we got to find a way forward. And then like, it's up to you to find the roof. You know, it's...
Well, and that's one of the things I appreciated about just the level design in general is I never felt like I was going down a corridor, just the way that everything was designed, even though I was going in one direction. Although I will say the areas do feel a little bit more, not open world, but just open areas.
Wide and linear.
So that's a good way to say it. But whenever I had to go in a specific direction, it was easy to figure out where the game wanted me to go without just blatantly being like, you need to go over here. You know, like there's a giant path or there is something blocking or there's a glowy bit over here. It just felt natural to go in the right direction.
Which was one of your biggest criticisms going into this game.
Yeah. When we talked about watching the gameplay, well, my worry was like, I don't know where to go by watching this gameplay trailer. I don't know where the game wants me to go. And there were some moments on that, but you just move forward and whatever feels right or whatever feels natural winds up being the right way to go. Yep. Which I feel like I've never experienced in a game before.
And I don't know if Zach hasn't finished this game yet, but the utter amount of collectibles in this game and the hidden areas in this game is mind-blowing.
Did everybody get the trophy for getting all the open world areas?
No.
Oh, wow. I am so proud of myself. There is a section near the beginning of the game where it just kind of lets you off into this huge hub area. And you're just riding around on a horse and you can explore buildings to your leisure. And I really wish there was a second area like that because I thought it was so incredibly fun. It was like, if Fallout was like this, it would be my dream. Like I love the way you explore and break into buildings, and the fact you break glass in this game is insane. But we can get back to that. But I was proud of myself for getting the trophy. I explored every single location and got everything you can in that open world area.
Nice.
I was pretty proud of that. But yeah, or like even the knowing where you're going, like breaking the glass. Like if you see a locked door, you can break the window next to it, or like you look at every building in a way in this game that you wouldn't in other games because they're most likely you can find a way in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super cool, and I feel like it's going to ruin other games for me.
Yeah,
because like a lot of games, like you see a window, like why can't I just break that window and crawl in there? Because we're not playing Last of Us 2.
Yeah, the Last of Us did that. No other game does. Yeah, it's pretty good. They added a jump button. That changes a lot of things.
That I actually like that quite a bit.
Adds a lot more verticality. Makes the combat a lot more fun too because you can really get up and down a lot. And Ellie is so much faster than Joel was in the first game, so she's ducking and diving, and you can go prone in the stealth, so you can hide in shrubbery or hide underneath tractor trailers or get in the gutters.
I will say that I feel like the AI with the stealth is very forgiving.
Well,
I feel like, how does that dude not see me right now?
See, I'm playing on hard. I did not get that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe on my easier level of difficulty is making that easier.
I played it on moderate, and it didn't feel very forgiving in areas.
Really? Okay.
On hard, I don't know if they do this on moderate, but they set up lookouts and stuff.
No, I didn't have the lookouts.
But they'll have the enemies with rifles will climb to the tallest spot, and they'll have like two people with rifles. You'll watch them actually climb in real time because they know you're in the area, and they will just survey the area. So now you have somebody, like if you're not going prone through the grass, if you pop up for even a second, like that guy's probably going to see you.
No,
I did not
actually,
experience that.
Actually, come to think of it, there was some, but it'd be like 1 or 2 in some areas.
That happens all the time on hard.
But I noticed that the moment you were spotted, the people with dogs came out.
Yes.
And that added just like a whole new level of like planning how you're moving through a level.
Yeah, especially when they started scenting, like following your trail by scent.
Yes.
Because I felt like I was never safe until I got rid of a dog.
What a monster you are.
Yeah. No, you did it too, you jerk.
I arrow
me the jerk.
I arrow every dog I see. I do like that you can... there were hours of the game where I didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
Because you can just stealth around and find the exit to an area.
Or there were multiple moments in the game where I felt conflicted about whether or not to take them out or not.
Yeah, a lot of people online are like, "Oh, the name thing's so silly." When they're like, when you kill somebody and they're like, "Oh man, Leah," they got Leah, or they'll get like scared for their friend, like, "Hey, where's Sarah? Didn't Sarah come? Like, didn't she go check out the West Side?" Mm-hmm. And then they're like, "Sarah," like, it works for me, man. It makes you feel bad. There was one part
that made me feel bad, and I feel like at a certain point it started to wear off. Like where like, oh, which name is going to get mentioned now? It still impacted me, and impacted me less as it went along, but I feel like that was kind of the point.
I think that is the point.
Is that Ellie is becoming desensitized, and like she's feeling bad about it, but eventually it just goes away.
There was one combat area that I messaged you about where I just kept restarting the checkpoint because I refused to kill anyone.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I felt too bad. CB over here making faces like he murdering everybody with a grin on his face.
I did. No, like he's I left no one alive.
Murder. There's another area like that, Zach, coming up that I think I actually texted CB and was like, "Why am I killing these people? Like, why? How is this? Why is this okay?" I mean, and I guess that's. I have 2 more points I want to make, and one of them is I love that in this game, running for your life is a perfectly acceptable way to get through an area. Like, you can run, and just as long as you can find the exit and get out, in most cases, you can just find the exit, close the door behind you and bar it, or get down and run away. Running is okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
that works.
And it's so tense because there really was like 3-4 hours of the game where I just didn't kill anybody. I felt like I was playing Splinter Cell again. And sometimes you go up to the exit area and it'll be like a door that you have to like bash open, and then everybody sees you and you're trying to open it before they get off of shots on you. It's pretty tense.
So intense.
So yeah, pretty good game.
Last thing I will say, and unless you guys have anything else you want to add, but last thing I have to say before we move on, don't play this game around your kids. Holy cow, this game is dark, and it goes some places that made me uncomfortable. Like in some ways bad, in some ways good. That wow,
hyperviolence is a thing,
right?
Hyperviolence. A lot of people have been talking about that on Twitter. There is a lot of violence. Oh my goodness, there's a section towards the end. Whew. I certainly I can't talk about it, but man, there's one that I almost turned my face.
It does. I mean, it is violent, but I don't think it's excruciating.
No. I don't think it's excruciating, but there's one scene that I went, holy cow! I've never seen this kind of violence in a video game before.
I think it's the same scene that I texted you about. Where
we'll talk about it off air, because I don't want to say anything.
I think the only scene that's made me squeamish was in the trailer where you see a bird gets wings clipped.
Okay.
Yeah. That was hard.
That was a great way to show how dark this game is. But I cannot wait to talk about you guys freely about this game. I feel like I'm holding myself back. I have so much to say about this game, but it's dark, and yeah. This is an equal opportunity violence distributor.
Yeah, hey, you know what I kind of appreciate is like the people you're murdering. are male, female, all kinds of different ethnicities. I was like, hey, you don't see that every day.
Yeah. They all have the same facial expression when you choke them out, though. Did you notice that?
Yeah, so as does Ellie make the same angry face when she murders everybody.
But you know what? I never get tired of that face she makes. That I can see it in my face right now.
It's very...
When she kind of looks back up to the left or whatever, and just looks angry and like struggling at the same time. I love that look on her face. Anyway, Last of Us 2. I tried to wrap that conversation up like 5 minutes ago, and I just kept going. CB, you also played a game, called... I lost it.
Beyond Blue.
It is called Beyond Blue on Xbox One, which looked, underwater educational game.
It is. But it's a beautiful game.
What a harsh tonal switch this is.
Huh?
What a hard tonal shift this is.
Yes.
Like, now let's talk about the nice, peaceful, zen, underwater exploration game.
I actually played this just before I played Last of Us 2. So, yes, that was jarring.
I would imagine. Either way, really.
Because this game is very peaceful. I don't know, did either one of you ever play Abzu?
I did. All 1,000 achievement points.
I love Abzu. Wait, so you like Abzu, Scott?
I like the achievement points.
Because it's just Journey underwater.
I don't think I would have played it if it weren't for the easy achievement points. Yeah, it was okay.
I love Abzu. I like Abzu more than Journey. Fill my inbox.
I liked it better than Journey.
Yeah. So essentially, this is kind of a reskinned Abzu in a way, because it's an underwater exploration game that you're going around looking for things. And this game is so gorgeous, like unbelievably pretty to look at.
Now, aren't you the one that suffers from like fear of underwater stuff?
No, that would be our producer. I'm a certified diver. I love underwater.
Okay. So, do you think that someone that's afraid of deep water areas would have a problem with this?
Yes,
or is it
very much so.
I mean, is there scary stuff going on? Are there creatures coming after you, or
no? You play as a scientist who is tracking a pod of whales.
Okay.
Through different areas, and like in the beginning of the game, you're near the surface, and it gets to the point where you actually delve down into the I can't remember the exact term, but basically it's just pitch black, and the only thing you can see is what's in front of your light.
But nothing ever attacks you.
No.
It's just like a claustrophobic feeling.
Yes, it's a very claustrophobic feeling. You're essentially going around scanning different underwater animals, learning about them, learning about the whales. This was actually put together by the same people that did Blue Planet 2 on the BBC.
Oh, wow. I'm not a big nature show watcher, but those shows look stunning. They are filmed so incredibly.
Did you ever play Endless Ocean on the Wii?
No.
I did not. I heard nothing but bad things about it.
Really? It sounds almost exactly like this game. You swam around underwater and clicked on animals, and it told you real-life facts about them. But anyway, I was just curious.
Thinking of a different game.
Yeah.
So, does similar things, but outside of the actual gameplay, because it's just swimming, scanning, learning, this game gets a little preachy.
Like from an ecological standpoint?
Yes.
Okay.
So after you finish each mission, it plays a video put together by the same people that did Blue Planet 2, teaching you, like, this is why we need to save the ocean. And it shows a lot of new technologies that they're using for research. So it's an interesting way to combine a game with gameplay and an educational lesson.
I don't have a problem with that.
Some people do.
Some people do, yeah.
But I played this game for about 8 hours. Got all 1,000 achievement points. Wow, I enjoyed this thoroughly.
What a nice length.
It is. There's a very heartfelt message to it. I give them credit.
Is it just like a very chill, serene, zen moment of zen type game?
Yes, it is, because it's just free floating through water, swimming around, looking at like a coral reef and animals.
It sounds like a nice game to play after Last of Us.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably after would have been better than before.
Yes. Flip-flop these.
All right, that is Beyond Blue. You played on Xbox. I know that was actually in one of the presentations that we saw recently.
Yeah. And I didn't. It was they debuted the game like, oh yeah, available now, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it because I like these kind of games.
Very cool. Well, thanks for checking that one out. Do have a couple pre-recorded interviews that we did with some of our contributing writers. I spoke with Alyssa about a game called Those Who Remain. It's a little horror/walking simulator game. Josh, up in one of our contributing writers, played a game called Superball Ache, which is a Oculus Rift game that frustrated him greatly. And then Nate, frustrated in a good way. I want to say, clear that up. Josh actually really liked this game. And then Nate played a game called Atomicrops, which is basically like Harvest Moon mixed with combat. And it sounds fascinating. I want you guys to hear those reviews. We'll play those for you right now. All right, I'm here with Alyssa White, who reviewed a game for us called Those Who Remain. Alyssa, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It sounds like you had a little bit of a struggle at one point in this game, yeah?
I had a couple. I did.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But real quick before you get into the game, I want to say that this game does come from developer Camel 101. And shout out to One PR Studio for hooking you up with a review copy on that. So watching the trailer, this looks like a survival horror type of game, but I'm very intrigued by the cover. Looks like there's a whole light versus dark element. What exactly is this game about?
You pretty much nailed it. There is a light versus dark element, and it is survival horror in some aspects, but in other aspects, it's more narratively driven, what a lot of people call a walking simulator.
Sure.
But the story revolves around a man named Edward who has lost his daughter, he's cheating on his wife, and he decides to break things off with his mistress, and when he goes to the hotel to break things off, just the world suddenly changes. There are these weird, shadowy figures in the shadows, and all you can see are their eyes, and if you get too close to them, they'll just one-hit kill you or drive you to paranoia, and you somehow become involved with this 13-year-old named Annika, and you have to find out what her story is, and it's a really interesting story. That's what kept me going.
Okay. What's the gameplay like? Because I'm already getting like an Alan Wake vibe with the light versus dark.
It's not like Alan Wake in that regard. You're not really controlling the light, besides in a few instances. You just mainly have to flick light switches on, and then the room is safe to go into, or stand under a street light or in a car's headlights. So there are only a couple instances where you just completely control the lights, but you're safer in the light than you are in the dark.
So is it just a puzzle game where you're trying to just find the way to get a light on so that it's safe to go into the next room? Is that pretty much all the gameplay, or is there more to it?
The puzzles aren't actually related to the light itself most of the time. It's just really solving environmental puzzles just to progress to the next environment, to the next building. So on and so forth. So you're just trying to find different pieces and solve logic puzzles to progress the game.
So there's not really any combat or anything. You're just basically trying to
you cannot engage in any kind of combat, and you will get one hit killed by any enemy.
Okay, so did you find the puzzles fun and engaging, at least?
To me, I did, but I'm not someone that enjoys super difficult puzzles, so the easier the puzzle, the more I enjoy it. So these were pretty simple. There were a couple I got stuck on, but for the most part, they're simple, and I enjoyed them.
And was the story worth it? Did you feel like it paid off at the end?
I did feel like the story was worth it, and there are 3 different endings, and I got the ending I wanted. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah, you do make moral choices, dialogue choices that affect your story, so you can be a totally good guy, a bad guy, in the middle, you choose.
Okay, and would you recommend our listeners check out this title?
If you're into games such as Outlast, Layers of Fear, definitely check it out. If clunky controls or, walking simulators really aren't your jam, or you didn't like Outlast or Layers of Fear, you might want to avoid it. Also, I do have to mention a little thing that happened with me. I did suffer motion sickness with this game, which is not really common for me with first-person games. Occasionally it happens, and it happened for me with this game, but that's just probably a personal thing. But just keep in mind, if you do suffer motion sickness, this could trigger it.
That's interesting because it's not a VR game. This is just you're watching on your monitor.
Yeah, it's just first person, but I don't know what it was. Turning up the sensitivity all the way helped a little bit, but it still just made me feel pretty sick, and I couldn't play it in long chunks.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's
probably just a personal thing, but I just had to throw that out there for anyone else who might suffer from it.
All right. Well, again, that is Those Who Remain from Camel 101 Studios. Alyssa, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
All right. I'm here with Josh Erschman. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
It's been a while since we've had you on doing a review, man. Things been going all right for you?
Oh, yeah. Things have been going good. You know, I play a lot of the same games, so that's why.
Yeah, you certainly do. Last time I was up there by you, you were playing Tarkov. Is that what the game's called?
Yeah, I only got 522 hours now. So
oh my God, that's a long time. 522 hours. That game's been out for what, like 2-3 months?
It's been out for a couple of years, but I'm just playing pretty intensely. So
sounds like it. Well, you're here to talk to us about a game that you reviewed because you were one of our writers that actually has access to an Oculus Rift, and I was contacted by a developer by the name of Unknown Format, who wanted us to check out a game called Superball Ache. And I am dying to hear about this game because the trailer I saw made it look really cool. I was getting flashbacks to like Super Glove Ball back on the NES and games like that. Looks very psychedelic, but can you explain to everybody what this game actually is and how it works?
Yeah, so Superball Ache it's kind of like a puzzle. It reminds me of a little bit like some of the puzzle stuff that you saw in Breath of the Wild when you're flipping the table and stuff.
Okay.
So it's a lot like that, but so there's a starting point, and you're trying to get your ball to the end. The game starts out very basic, just teaching you the different camera angles, and going through it, you actually can manipulate the level, so it makes it easier for you to move the ball. You have to be very precise with it because you will roll off the map probably about 90% of the time. And
so
then
when you say you manipulate the environment, are you actually tilting it like one of those labyrinth things?
Yeah, like you're actually tilting the map so you can actually see like above it or on the side of it.
Okay.
One of the first levels, it actually brings you into like an area where it's completely blocked off, so you can't see it. So you actually have to grab the level and pull yourself on top of it.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually see where your ball is rolling.
So not only are you manipulating the environment, you're actually climbing up it in the correct place to get the right perspective.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And then you're just rolling your ball, but you have to be very precise, and the ball is almost always moving. It's very hard to stop it.
That was going to be my next question, is like if you're climbing, do you have to be careful of keeping the table level while you're climbing?
So the table doesn't move, just your camera is moving. So you're just moving yourself off to a different spot.
Right.
But the ball's always moving. It's almost like it has an extra weight in it. Kind of like what almost like a pinball would move. A pinball usually always moves. You can't get it to sit still.
So is it always going in one direction like a pinball table? Like it's always going towards the drain?
It's kind of going towards the drain sometimes, but you control the ball with your left hand, with your left joystick, and then you just kind of, a lot of it has to do with like spin and your angle. And there's quite a few, probably within the first level, I probably died about 15 times. Just falling and rolling off the table. And then you have to restart the whole thing again, even if you're like right near the end.
Okay.
It is the most frustrating game I've ever played. It's a lot of fun, but it is definitely very frustrating.
You said you learned some new colorful metaphors playing this game.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of metaphors coming out of my mouth every other word. It was, the developer did a really good job. He does add more technical things as you go along. He also adds levers, so you have to... I don't like his control scheme that he uses. I wish you could customize them a little bit more. Maybe I'm missing something. But you actually have to take one of your hands and actually pull it out in front of you and grab a lever to move the level up and down.
Oh.
So kind of like a platform, but your ball's still rolling. And half the time I would get it like literally about a fraction of an inch from it, and then the whole thing would roll off, and I'd have to restart.
Oh, wow. It still sounds really clever, though. I like the idea of it being like an overhead, manipulating the ball and getting in the right spot to be able to see where you have to go. It sounds like a fascinating experience.
A lot of the levels are kind of like a mix of not monkey ball, but kind of like how those levels are. They're very narrow. You don't have very much room for mistake. A lot of it was like physics too, because if there's a ramp or something, you actually have to kind of roll your ball back and gain enough momentum just to get up certain spots.
Gotcha. So do you recommend our Rift owners checking out this game?
Yeah, I'd absolutely recommend it. It's very challenging. If you have like nerves of steel and you are a very patient person, I would play this. If you are not a patient person like me, I would not recommend it.
Okay.
Just because it's very frustrating. It's extremely hard, but once you complete a level, you feel a bit of accomplishment. Just because it's hard and challenging, but it can be done. It's just it's challenging. But I mean, I know the people in the Gaming Outsider love a challenging game. So
okay, so it's got that sense of satisfaction, like the Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
You get to the end and it's exciting, yeah, and it grades you each time too.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that on this episode, on our regular episode here. So that's interesting.
Yep. So like how long it took you, how many times you fell off the map, stuff like that.
All right. Well, very cool. That is Superball 8 from Unknown Format. That's the name of the developer. Josh, thanks so much for stopping by and talking about it. I wish I had a Rift so I could try it now.
Yeah, I know you gotta pick up one of those one of these days, but I don't think they work with Mac right now. So,
no, they don't. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with PSVR and Quest at the moment, which the Quest isn't even mine. I use CBs, so that's the best I can do because I can't afford a better PC right now. But all right, man. Well, thanks for stopping by. You have a good one. All right.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye. I'm here with Mr. Nate Lucas, producer extraordinaire. How's it going, man?
I'm all right.
Just all right.
You hyped me up so much, so I had to kind of give you a very mellow intro to kind of balance it out, I guess.
I see. Just a little. You're the yin to my yang, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm excited to hear you talk about Atomicrops. This is a game that I sent you the trailer for, and you were super excited because I know you're a huge fan of Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Oh yeah,
and the reason I sent this was because I'm like, this has got Nate written all over it. And but before we get into the review, got to give a shout out to the developer, Birdbath Games. It's published by Raw Fury, and Sandbox Strategies is the publisher or PR that hooked you up with the review copy. So thanks to those guys over there. But so talk to me about this. This looks like farming simulator with attacking, with combat mixed into it. What is Atomicrops?
So, to put it simply, and maybe the easiest comparison to make, would be Zombies Ate My Neighbors as far as like gameplay and shooting capability, but mixed with the aesthetic and the farm management system of Stardew Valley.
Okay, is it as in depth as Stardew Valley? Because that game was overwhelming to me.
It's in depth, but I don't think it's to the level that Stardew Valley is. It doesn't require you to put as much of your time into it as Stardew Valley. In that effect, like you're playing through these days, kind of like Stardew Valley has like your days that you play through. At the end of the day, you cash out. Same thing. You have 3 days that you play through, and at the end of the day, you kind of cash in your crops and you get these cashews. At the end of 3 days, you fight a boss, and 3 days is one season. So you fight through these different seasons, different bosses, and at the end of each season, the mayor rewards you with, bonus perks and stuff for cashing in your crops. But what I'm kind of getting at is it's a little bit more fast-paced than Stardew Valley is. Rather than you're taking 30 days for a month in there, this all happens relatively fast. And it has some roguelike aspects where if you can die during this expedition where you kind of lose everything, you start back from scratch. But you have these, bonuses that you've collected on the way, or these perks that will aid you to start all over again.
Okay, so are cashews the currency?
They are, and there's also like flowers and different plants that you can plant to help and kind of use them as kind of like a pseudo currency, because they can be used to unlock different characters, so you can kind of give them flowers to gain their love and affection so that they'll come help you with your farm.
All right.
It's got a lot going on.
There's a lot of moving parts, it sounds like. But what's the rationale for these combat and these bosses? Is there something like trying to stop you from growing your crops, or what's
Absolutely. So the premise of the game is you inherit this farm, and shortly after inheriting this farm, there's this nuclear explosion, of course, because all games need a nuclear explosion to be on par with anything today.
Yeah.
But all the neighboring creatures and plants and everything are all affected by the radiation, and you basically have the one working farm where you're trying to plant stuff, and you have enemies trying to destroy your crops and take over your farm. And
so these like nuclear infused animals or something, that
animals and plants and you name it, every weird walk of life. There's rabbits in there. There's like this giant sun monster. Like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It's really cool though. So then your whole goal is you're trying to plant these crops. You're trying to water these crops, which is all automatic depending on how close you are to them. And then by defeating monsters, you can kind of reclaim them and use them as fertilizer to enhance the quality of your crops.
So there's actually combat going on while you're trying to water the crops and harvest and all this stuff too. It's not like you harvest or you farm and then you fight. It's like you're doing both at the same time.
So there's even more to it. So you can try to get it done. There's a little timer. If you can get it done within like the first, I think it's 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, then it's during the day and you don't have enemies to really deal with per se, and your focus is going to be harvesting. You can harvest, and then at night you just basically have to do defense and just basically survival and stay alive. Or what you can do is you can not harvest. You can kill these enemies that are trying to damage your crops or take over your crops, and use their bodies to, like I said, infuse them and kind of boost the qualities of them, which will yield you more at the end of the day.
But then you still got to harvest after you kill all the enemies, right?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of playing the game of when you want to harvest to gain the most reward. So it's kind of knowing when you want to do this. You can kind of plan it accordingly, or you can try to go for the big bucks, but there's a big risk to it. So you have to kind of judge risk and reward.
I think it sounds awesome because I love farming simulator games. Like I said, Stardew Valley was a little in-depth for me and it felt overwhelming. But to mix like the combat with it reminds me, remember when I talked about Moonlighter? Where it's like you've got the dungeon crawling and then you've got a storefront. It was two game mechanics I had never imagined together. I get the same appeal here.
Very much, you do. So at the end of the day, this helicopter comes and picks you up after you harvest your crops and takes you back to the central hub where you can use those cashews. Like I said, from harvesting your crops, you get cashews, and you can unlock different like perks and abilities. So like one day you can have like your projectiles shoot faster, or your crops grow faster, or you can plant faster, or you can unlock, I think there's a tractor in there where you can like mow down different patches of weeds and they'll get you different seeds that you can plant. There's just a lot going on with it, but it's not overwhelming. But it'll take a little bit to kind of get adjusted to the system they have going on. It's easy to jump into and hard to master because there's a lot going on.
Sounds like a ton of fun. Sounds like you'd recommend it to our audience.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think it's going to be $15 or is $15.
Yeah, it's out now.
For sure. And it's something you can kind of put down and come back to it and not feel out of place. It's easy to jump into.
Very cool. Again, that is called Atomicrops. I'm looking forward to checking that out because I think it sounds like a ton of fun. Nate, thanks so much for stopping by and talking to us about it.
All right. Thanks.
All right. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
All right. Thank you to Alyssa, Josh, and Nate for those reviews. Really appreciate it. Real quick, guys, I want to talk about a game I started talking about last week called Outbuddies DX. I actually finished the game this week, and I want to take back almost every negative thing I said about this game that I mentioned last week. I will say the game is very difficult to get into. Its barrier of entry is hard. The game does not explain to you what you're supposed to do. And I realized about halfway through this game that that's exactly what they were going for. because I remembered that the game that this game is an homage to, the original Metroid, did the exact same thing. This game actually explains things more than the original Metroid did. If you remember, the only text you ever got in the original Metroid was when you got a new item, and it said missile tank, or morph ball, or various suit. You never had any of that explained to you in game. And it just clicked with me that that's what this developer was going for. I am in love with this game, guys. I sat down.
Whoa.
And
that's quite a turnaround.
Yeah, I know I feel like I spoke quite negatively about it because I just wasn't sold on it. And that's something I want people to realize. I want people to play Outbuddies DX because if you love Metroid, like original Metroid, Super Metroid, far superior game, I will admit. But if you love the original Metroid, that's what this is. I'm realizing that this game is structured so much like that, but it has the ability to have a little bit more intricate systems. I was solving puzzles in this game that I feel like made me think outside the box to traverse from one area to another more than any other Metroidvania I've ever played. You know how like when you would solve a puzzle in Portal 2 and you feel like you broke the game? Like you solved a puzzle in a way that, I just figured a way to get around whatever way I was supposed to solve it, and I figured a way to do it, but that's actually how the developer wanted you to do it. I had that experience in Outbuddies DX multiple times. And isn't that the best? It really is.
That's part of what I love about Dark Souls.
You know what? And like hearing you say that makes me feel like I really need to give Dark Souls a fair shake. Like just to see what everybody's talking about, because I feel like that part of it makes me think I would love that game. I just don't know if I have the patience, and I almost didn't have the patience for this game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I stuck it through, and I said, no, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to learn this, and I'm telling you, something just clicked and snapped, and all of a sudden I understood what the developer was wanting me to do, and things started to make sense, and I stopped getting stuck, and then I just plowed through and pushed forward and did it. And this game is such a love letter to Metroid. You even have like the escape thing at the end of Metroid that you do in this game, but they do it in a different way that feels like a love letter to that game, but also feels a little fresh at the same time. It's so good. I liked it so much, I reached out to the developer on Twitter and asked him to come do an interview with me. I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow online to talk about his game and hear his story, which the little bit he's told me so far is fascinating. It took him 7 years to develop it. It's just a side gig for him. He's actually a doctor of medicine. Whoa. And he just decided to make a video game one day, and took him 7 years to make it by himself. And he's made almost no money on it. So please play Outbuddies DX if you like the original Metroid. It's a real good game. Just know that it takes a while to get into. And I know I hate it when people tell me that, but when it clicks, it's oh so satisfying. So that's the games I've been catching up on this week. You guys, anything?
Started playing Days Gone.
I love how you finish Last of Us 2 and you text me and you say, man, I'm done playing zombie games for a while. And you jump immediately into Days Gone.
Yeah, I know. I really just wanted to be done with zombie games for a while. And I looked at my backlog, and I know how highly Zach speaks of Days Gone. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just bite the bullet and play this. And man, is that game fun.
What did I tell you? What have I been saying?
Yeah, I'm just running around, though. Not really playing the story, just taking out nests and zombies.
That sounds like my kind of game, man. That's totally my kind of game.
Yeah, this game it's a Scott Clark game.
I don't even like checklist games, and I like doing the checklist in this game.
That's crazy to me. If only it had achievements.
If only
it has trophies,
which are way better, as we all know.
Ooh. I'll fight you on that one.
I know. CB, you can finally confirm that the line reads in that game is some of the most natural sounding dialogue in any video game ever.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the dialogue is so good. I only have one issue with the dialogue, and it's the character Tucker does not sound like she looks.
Okay, sure.
I was just like, looking at this character, I was like, you shouldn't sound like this.
My only problem is sometimes you just want to go burn some zombie nests down, and people will not stop calling you the radio.
Oh my god!
You're like, all right,
the whole skip optional dialogue. Skip optional dialogue.
Yes, and again, it's fascinating to listen to because they really just does sound like conversation, but it is. I just need to hop on my bike just to get down the hill, guys. I didn't need to start a whole thing. Yeah. I did not need to talk about my dead wife for 15 minutes. I'm just trying to kill a zombie.
What about you, Zach? Anything you catch up on, or has it been all Last of Us?
I mean, it's been pretty much The Last of Us Part 2. I played a little bit of Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get through that. Played some of my multiplayer. Okay, well, I can't wait for a Star Wars multiplayer game to play with you guys.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to be so much fun.
I call A-Wing.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. All right, this week's topic comes from the suggestion of listener Jordan Derringer High, who recommended we talk about the good old days of renting video games. You guys remember doing that? Man, it's been a long time since I rented a video game.
So many fun memories.
But we can't even, I don't even know if I physically can rent a video game now. Like, Redbox doesn't rent games anymore. The Family Video by me shut down. There's one over on the other side of town, I think, that's still... No, they're not open because of COVID.
No, they're I've stopped there.
Are they still renting games?
I believe so. I know AJ and I stopped by there the other day.
I can't remember the last time I rented a game. It had to have been Redbox, but I don't know. Do you guys have any specific memories of, the good old days heading to Blockbuster, Family Video, Movie Gallery, Hollywood Video, or any
Video
local
Outlet.
place? Video Outlet was another one. You have any good memories, CB?
Oh man, I loved Hollywood Video, if you remember that one.
There's one right up here in Alpine, not far from me back in the day.
The Edgebrook Center?
Right in front of Heartland?
No, not that one.
Edgebrook was further north.
Yeah. So that one, actually, when you walked in, they had a movie theater section.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a big screen, and they actually had like movie theater seats that you could sit in and just watch trailers. And so my dad worked in one of the big building at the Edgebrook Center. And so me and my brother would go with him on the weekends because he would have to do some extra work, and we would just go downstairs to Hollywood Video and just sit in there and just watch trailers for hours.
You know, movie trailers or game trailers?
Both.
Nice.
They played both, and then we would rent a couple games or movies and bring them home. And this was, still like in the cartridge era days.
Oh,
so
wow.
Be like rent some Super Nintendo or some Nintendo games, and almost every weekend brought like 3 or 4 home and just played them. And I miss movie theaters because there was also the Video Outlet had one across from where my parents lived, and we would always bike over there on the weekends.
Nice. Zach, what about you? Any fond memories of renting games? I know you're a little younger than the two of us.
I knew you were going to bring that up when I was younger. But
Sorry.
yeah, of course.
I just don't remember. I don't remember when the cutoff was for games being rented in stores. I
rented video games all the time.
Nice.
A lot before I started getting savvy with GameStop trade-ins.
Right.
I would rent a lot. I always liked Hollywood Video because there's a game Crazy was attached to it.
Yep.
So you can eat a little both worlds there, pre-owned games and rental games. But yeah, man, of course, Highlander Video, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, remember grocery stores that would have those little video stores inside them? Yeah,
that was a grocery store that had a video attached to it, or the what was it before? Logly?
Yep.
Logly. It's now Schnucks, but yeah, Logly used to be here in town.
Logly had a video store. That's where my mother infamously rented Superman 64 for me. And I thought I was going to have a good time. I was wrong. Yeah, pretty much anytime we went grocery shopping, I could rent a game because my mother loved renting movies. She still frequents Family Video. She's still in Family Video every week renting movies.
Nice.
So that was that. So it's kind of one of the few things we had in common. But yeah, I remember the pressure of N64 games were the worst to rent because you knew you had to get back in time for your save to still be on the cartridge where somebody else rented it and deleted it.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh God.
I'm sure you guys had those fears as well on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, or you would Even back on like the cartridge days before that, like Nintendo and Super Nintendo, where you could have a battery backup, and you'd rent a game and like pray that nobody else rented it or deleted your file.
I hated nothing more than you're renting we got robbed a bunch growing up, so in between owning Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time, I would have to also rent them. But I have memory because you only got 3 save slots for those games.
Yep.
And I remember, like, if they were all filled, I would have a heart attack.
Right, you're like, I don't want to be that guy that like deletes somebody else's save. Now
I gotta decide someone else's fate. And you're like, this guy looks like he may have beaten it. I don't know. Do I take a chance on that? Renting games is fun, and it was such a good way of, you don't know what's on the shelf, right? And you're like, what the hell is the Mark of Kree about?
I had a similar memory the time I saw the box art for Phalanx, which is a shmup on Super Nintendo that has a picture of an old guy playing a banjo with a spaceship like flying overhead in the background, and the old guy has this look on his face like, hey, and how is that in marketing for a shmup? Yeah.
Going to what you were talking about with the save state games.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, I know, I don't think Zach's old enough to remember this place, but I know you are, Scott. Farmore. There was a store here in town called Farmore. It's where, right next to Guitar Center used to be.
Okay, I don't remember Farmore.
Oh man. Well, they had a video and game rental section, and I think nobody knew about it. And so my parents would always do like some grocery shopping there. I would rent those kind of games from there because I know nobody else was renting from that place.
It was like a gold mine.
Yeah. And then when they shut it down, that's where a lot of my games came from.
Do you remember back in the day, like sometimes if you were lucky, before they started changing it up and actually like taping pre-printed instructions on how to play the game inside the box, they actually used to include the actual manual inside there, but since people kept like ripping them off, that they stopped doing that. But it was so fun to rent a game and find that manual in the back and open it to the back couple pages where it says notes and seeing some passwords that a previous player had played, but they didn't mark what the password was for. So it was always super fun just to like enter in each of those codes and see what it would do or where in the game it would take you. I think that's actually where I first learned the Justin Bailey code, is someone had written that in the back of the manual.
Oh, jeez.
It was like, Dark Souls before Dark Souls was a thing, like leaving a note for somebody in the future to like, give them guidance.
I used to use the notes section to give my X-Play review out of 5. Like I would write a thing like, good combat, boring exploration, 3 ... out of 5.
So you would like leave a bullet pointed review.
Yes.
Man, would it be hilarious if you could like find one of those,
track
like out in the ether somewhere?
Maybe my first written review.
Yeah,
it's probably like Beyond. I remember Beyond Good and Evil. I wrote best game ever, 5 out of 5.
5.
Oh jeez.
Out of 5.
I'm gonna start tracking those down.
When I was 12. I was gonna say we're talking about instruction manuals. My buddy Chris, he was a guy. Every game he rented, he took the instruction manual, he kept it.
Well,
he was that guy.
CB's raising his hand. He's like, "Yeah,
I did too."
Not this Chris, but apparently he did the same thing.
That's where my Snow Brothers manual came from.
Jeez. Yeah, I was a good boy. I rewound every time I took movies, and I replaced my manuals.
Yeah.
That's actually a funny story because I always hated seeing those stickers on like Nintendo cartridges. Be kind, rewind. What am I rewinding?
Yeah. They still put them on there even because you remember people would call them Nintendo tapes back in the day.
Yes, even I remember this.
I'm gonna rent a Nintendo tape. It's not a tape. What are you talking about? It's a cartridge.
Oh, where you guys have the N64 games? Oh yeah, Nintendo tapes are in the back.
Nintendo tapes.
There are DVDs on the shelf, man. We're not doing this anymore. We're not talking about tapes.
My favorite memory of renting video games, I feel like I've told this story before, so I apologize if this is a repeat story. But my local shop in Whitewater, Wisconsin, where I grew up, was a little tiny mom and pop video store called Video Age. And I remember specifically because it was a big yellow sign that just said Video Age. That's all it was. I can actually tell you right in town where it was. I could drive there right now. And I had to have been 8 or 9 when I remember this story. We went to Video Age, and I will never forget, because you know how movie stores now like have the movie case, and then behind it there's the blank empty case that tells you that it's in stock, and you take it to the front, and then they put the game inside the case for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, before that was a thing, Video Age used to actually have on each shelf, right below the games, was an entire strip of Velcro, right? And then they actually made laminated tabs that had a tiny little piece of Velcro on the end of it that had the code for the game on it, and they would just like Velcro it underneath there, so you knew the game was in stock if that Velcroed laminate piece was stuck under the game. So if you wanted to take a game, you rip off that Velcro piece, take it to the front, and then they put it in a case and then give you the game. So that's like my first memory of ever renting games, was not the little plastic case behind it, but actually ripping off this tab. So anyway, I would go to the store with my mom and my stepdad, and I would just sit there and stare at the games the whole time while my parents would pick out a movie. And they had never rented, we never rented games. It seemed like a luxury thing for me at the time. And I remember just staring and looking at these games. And I was like, man, I just really wish I could do this. I wish I could just play any of these games. I just want to play these games so bad. And then I wound up going in the car, and my dad came out, and I was like, so what movie did you rent? And he's like, Top Gun. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, we've seen that before. I like that movie. I guess we'll watch it again. And I get home, and the big surprise was that he had not rented Top Gun, the movie. He had rented Top Gun on NES. And that was my first experience playing Top Gun, which was, I don't know, it was just a fun memory. It was my dad's way of trying to surprise me that he had actually rented a game for me instead of renting the movie, and told me he rented the movie. I don't know. I thought it was a fun memory for me.
It's a cute story.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I always loved the mom and pop style rental stores.
Yeah.
Just because of the way they looked. It's like the Blockbuster was always like yellow, gray, and blue.
They're too bright, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like Video Outlet, all the shelves were like white. The cases were orange.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to like these mom and pop ones, and it's like wood grain shelves, and it always doesn't seem to be well lit. It was always like a little bit darker. Yeah, I know. It felt like you were walking into your grandma's basement.
But it also had like a specific scent. Like the smell of a mom and pop video rental store had like an arcadey smell to it.
Very musty.
Like musty, like burnt dust on electrical cables smell to it. You know,
or like stale popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
That's stale popcorn. Yes,
they always had the popcorn machine in the corner that had like 2-day-old popcorn in it that was free.
Yep, which is a big incentive to go in there, the free popcorn.
I remember, there was a video store in South Beloit, Illinois that had a stale old popcorn in there.
I like stale popcorn though. I'm the guy that goes to the movie theater and gets a big tub of popcorn and coats it with butter, like just drenches it, and I only eat half of it during the movie. And then I bring it home and I just set it in the microwave and let it sit in there overnight, so that all that popcorn juice just soaks into the kernels, and the popcorn gets a little stale but it still feels soggy. Oh, that is like,
you can feel my arteries hardening now.
I love it.
Yeah, you're a certified psychopath. Yeah. Actually, I remember there's a video store. This was after Final Fantasy IX came out.
Mm-hmm. And
I went and I loved it and adored it, and I was robbed of it when I was a kid. They stole my memory card too. I'll never forgive them for that.
How did they steal your memory card? Do you leave it in the thing?
No. I'm saying somebody broke into our house. Stole my copy of Final Fantasy IX and the memory card.
Ooh.
Did not steal the PS1, which is bizarre.
Well, you got to unhook it from the TV and all this. That takes time.
Yeah. So all of my mom's boyfriend's rifles. But anyway, I remember I had beaten it, so I wasn't totally devastated. But I remember I would go to the video store and I was going to rent Final Fantasy 8. it's like, I'll play the next Final Fantasy, whatever. But I remember the guy at the checkout, the guy behind the counter was just like, you don't want to do that. And I was like, what? He's like, you're not going to like Final Fantasy 8. And I was like, what do you mean? I love Final Fantasy 9. It's one of my favorite games. And he's like, then you're really not going to like Final Fantasy 8. And I was like, okay. And then I rented it. And I brought it back like before the rental was even up. I was like, yeah, I don't like this at all. and he's like, he's like, yeah, I know. Here's Final Fantasy 7. Your rental period restarts now. So
wow.
That was super nice of him. And then I put Final Fantasy 7. That game was good.
I always feel like that. But that was super cool, that guy. With mom and pop shops, like you always had the people that gave you like good advice.
Right. That guy was right. That draw system sucked.
Yeah. But you would go to like Blockbuster though, and they'd be like, "Yo, yeah, man, it's great. It's great. Rent it. Oh, it'll get better. Rent it again." I hated that because it always felt like the sleazy car salesman to go to like Blockbuster.
Yep.
But the mom and pop shop, it was like, we care about you. You liked this last time. Let me make a recommendation. Try this one.
Well, my video shop that I used to go to, they knew us by name. It was that small of a town at that point that like you walk in and like, hey, what's up? And they recognize you and know you by name. Like when I go to the dentist office, the secretary knows me just by looking at me and says, "Hey, Scott." And like I see her once every 6 to 9 months, and she knows me. I mean, part of it probably is she's looking at the schedule and preparing and knowing who's coming, maybe. But even so, she's making it look like she just recognizes me and knows my name, and that to me is a customer service thing that you rarely get at the bigger places like that. Especially like as a guy that worked at Blockbuster and had to force those Game Pass and Movie Passes on every single customer that walked in the door. And we had little powwow meetings about how many of those are going to sell tonight. And I dreaded it. So I missed the mama pops.
I actually want to take a road trip with you guys and go to the last Blockbuster.
Where is it?
It's like in Washington.
I'm not going to Washington to go to a Blockbuster. You know how long of a road trip that is to Washington?
Be a heck of a road trip, though.
Oh my goodness!
Just to go rent at a Blockbuster.
We'll probably just talk about The Last of Us Part 2 the whole ride. So we'll probably just fly by.
The gaming on the roadsider.
Oh, that'd be fun. Patreon.
Yeah. We just have like a microphone sitting in the middle of the car while we like talk about games while we're driving to Washington to see the last Blockbuster.
Oh no, we got to go and actually rent something,
and then
just never return it.
Yeah, we'll use your credit card then if we rent something. How about that?
Sure, sounds good.
Well, that was fun. Let's see what our community said. Zach, I think you were first on the docket here. What did the community have to say about this?
Sure. Garen Turner said, I remember so many times asking if a game was in, and they'd say it wasn't. I would go in there, and it was. Now, granted, somebody could have returned in that short time. Most of the time, they did bother to go look. I also remember hiding games and coming back later to rent them. The last sentence I very much agree with.
You go take a copy of a game and put it behind, like, Pac-Man 2?
Yeah, I would do it because I was a savvy enough young aspiring games journalist. Mm-hmm. That I was like, no one's gonna rent Raises Hell on Xbox.
Right.
No one's gonna do it. So I'm gonna take Halo 2. I'm gonna tuck it behind Raises Hell. Mm-hmm. And I will come back for this later.
I used to have a whole like rotation thing planned because my video store would open at 10 o'clock, right? But I was working, so I couldn't just go to the video store at 10 o'clock. So I would call. Like, I would take my break on Tuesdays when game releases came out and call the video store at 10:01 and say, hi, do you have whatever game in stock on Xbox 360? Yeah, it just came in today. I will be there. I have lunch at 11 o'clock. Can you hold it for me for an hour? Oh, yeah, we'll hold it for you for an hour. And then I have to like go on my lunch break and go rent it. That was my strategy to make sure I got a game on release day, was to call the store, have them hold it for me for an hour, take an early lunch, and go over and pick it up.
Works.
It's a little more difficult. Yeah.
Yes.
Brandon Austin says, many memories pop into my head of Video Outlet that was on South Alpine here in Rockford. Every Friday after school, my mom would take me and my brother to Beefaroo. Woohoo!
Yes! Woo!
Then to Video Outlet to rent a wrestling tape. And whatever, see, I got frustrated when he said wrestling tape because I thought he was referring to like a wrestling game as a tape, but then I read the rest of it. I go to Video Outlet to rent a wrestling tape and whatever the newest PS1 game was. That store introduced me to so many of the games I grew up to love, like Spyro, Final Fantasy, and the Lunar series. Is it Lunar or Lunar?
Lunar.
You can tell I didn't play it. They also had a popcorn machine at the checkout counter, so every time you walked in the store, the smell of freshly popped popcorn hit, and immediately I knew the weekend had begun. For the 7-year-old kid I was at the time, this place was absolute heaven. Hollywood Video down the block would soon become the new spot to rent games, but Video Outlet always holds that special nostalgic place as my first ever video game rental spot. That is a good story. I love how he described the popcorn. The weekend has begun. That's great.
So one of the few games I have that still has stickers on it is a Video Outlet one because I have that many good memories of that place.
And you refuse to remove that sticker, don't you?
Yep. It will never come off.
Oh, that's adorable.
I love it, man. Kyle Boggs. My first job from 15 until 18 or so was at West Coast Video. Midwest chain, I guess. It was great. I just remember endless amounts of PS2 games at our fingertips, so I was lucky and never had to actually pay for anything. I always wanted to work at a video game rental store, but by the time I was old enough to actually have a job, most of them had disappeared.
Yeah. I worked at Blockbuster and we got, I think it was 5 free rentals a week. But I don't remember if I could rent games or not. I don't remember if I was allowed. But it was like the idea behind it was that they wanted you to watch the new movies so that you could recommend them to people.
Yes.
So they wanted you to watch them. But what was great was you got to watch the movies before they hit the street date. So you would actually get these movies a week before they hit the shelves to rent. Now, they had been in theaters for months, right? But you got to watch them before they actually were available to rent. So we used to have parties at my house. And we, like, whatever days those pre-streets, we called them pre-streets, because it was before they hit street date, and we would all get together at my house and watch the pre-street movies together. And on like Tuesday nights, Tuesday night was movie night. Like, and I loved it.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
GameStop wanted me to rent their new games and talk about it from them, but I never did on moral grounds.
Ah,
You can't play a new game and then sell it as new. That's not how that works.
All right, so we got another one.
I love that pre-streets. That's funny.
Yeah,
Pre-streets. Larry Chu. I remember renting Batman Forever for Sega, and it was garbage.
I remember doing I have the exact same experience.
I remember renting a lot of hot trash. I think Scott has played one of my most rented video games, which was Captain Comic for the NES. I kept renting that game over and over because I wanted to beat it. But that game is pretty much unplayable.
it's awful.
And I could never get past the 3rd level. Oh,
Was there ever a game you guys rented so many times that there was just no real reason you should have just bought it?
There's definitely movies, for sure. I think I rented Flight of the Navigator more times than I could have bought it 3 times at that point. But games? Whew. Maybe Bubble Bobble?
DuckTales,
maybe?
Yeah. So Mega Man Legends is one. I kick myself too, because I rented that game loads of times, over and over again, and that game's like worth money now, isn't it?
It's a decent amount depending on which system. Yeah.
Did you ever rent a game and forget to return it and then wind up having to like buy it for like 3 times what it actually cost?
Yep.
I
was banned from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I rented a game and then all right, well this is a dirtbag move. I rented a game on one of those like vanilla gift cards.
Oh.
and then I had pocketed the case already, like under my jacket, and I rented the game. So I had the case, the manual, and the game, and they could not charge me for it.
Wow, do you still have that game?
I don't remember what game it was. I just remember doing this. I remember doing this and then telling my buddy about it, and then he did it too.
Wow.
I was hoping it was like a really crappy game.
I want to say it was Okami.
That's not a crappy game.
I did not like it, but that's what I remember it.
You know what's funny is like people hear that story and think that's such a dirtbag move, and mine is just as dirtbag a move, but it was considered socially acceptable at the time. I had a modded Xbox back in the day, and so I would rent a game and then just burn it onto my big hard drive on my Xbox because we had a Game Pass. So I'd get a Game Pass for like a 1 month, which was like $15 for the month or whatever. I would rent a game, take it home, burn it, come immediately back and swap it out for a different game, take it home, burn it, just do that whole cycle so that like I loaded my original Xbox with all these games and then canceled my membership.
Yeah, it's funny how people rationalize piracy as okay.
No, I'm not saying I'm not.
No, you're saying it's socially acceptable. I'm saying people rationalize pirating. That's one thing, but stealing the disc, as though that somehow it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
I rented actually 5 games and just forgot to return them. And
5?
That's expensive, man.
Yeah, it was. I had rented 5 and just kept playing them. And so what I did was I had rented the games under my parents' account and just kept playing these games over and over because I was younger and I was like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. My dad will just re-rent them. This went on for like 4 months, and then we got a letter in the mail, and my dad's like, what the hell? You spent $400 some at Blockbuster? And I'm like, I only rented 5 games. And he's like, you didn't return them for 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a little ridiculous.
I always love that they charge you. It could be a 6-year-old game, and they still charge you what they paid for it.
Yep. Well, no, they charge you more. I feel like there was like penalties on top of it, so they actually like wound up making money on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if they had it for 6 years, they had already made money on it.
Right.
They had it for 6 months. They already made money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Next comment comes from Lynn Green, who says, I rarely post or comment on here, but this one holds a special place in my heart. I work for both Blockbuster and Movie Gallery, but more importantly, the Movie Gallery in my town had a game zone inside it. While I didn't make much money, it was the best job I'd ever had in my life. Every day or night, I'd go in and just grin. New release day was always awesome, trying out the new games and getting people pumped up for them, putting them on the big screen for people to see the intro videos and listen to the music. One of the best parts about the place was the tournaments. We had 8 TVs set up with 4 Xboxes, 2 PlayStations, and 2 GameCubes. At one point, we had a Halo 2 tournament with over 100 people participating. We used to give away game consoles for the big tournaments like that. We even had 2 big metal DDR plates for people to dance on. It was essentially like its own little GameStop, but set up more for tournaments. We also took in old games and consoles for trade or sell. Some of my fondest memories are from there, and I meet a lot of people in this town because of it. I met a lot of people in town. I even met my buddy Matt Hacksaw Sattler there, although my memory is terrible and he had to remind me. I doubt there will ever be another place like it in my town, but if so, I try my best to run the place. I think honestly, yeah.
That's an awesome story. If GameStop transformed into that, they could actually survive.
I think we've said that multiple times. And I feel like that's what CB is kind of wants to do. Like your retirement goal is to open a place like that in town where you just have TVs everywhere. We have his collection available for people to play stuff and just enjoy being around gamers. Like straight up. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. That was a cool story. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, Lynn, thanks so much. Zach, you're up.
Chiphole. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, I used to be on the road all the time. Whenever we were in the same hotel for more than 2 nights, I'd look for the closest Blockbuster and rent an N64. I especially remember having 2 nights to try and get through GoldenEye. Didn't quite make it. Also making whatever Madden was out at the time with colleges. Also playing whatever Madden came out there with colleges. Led to some sleep-deprived days, but totally worth it. I love... Man, that pressure of when you could tell you were reaching the end of a game and you knew it was going back the next day.
Didn't you say like you like called in sick to work to finish a game that you were like almost finishing?
Well, they called me in and I was like, yeah, I'll be as soon as I can, but then I finished Firewatch anyway.
Oh, that's more recently.
Yeah, I mean, I have definitely called in sick for games. Don't worry about that.
I've taken days. I don't know if I've called in sick. I've actually like taken a vacation day or whatever to play a game like Gears 2, God of War. I've taken days off. But hey, people take off for like March Madness and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, certainly you're not going to find any judgment here.
Yeah.
But I definitely called in sick to school and work to play Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
On launch day.
I do feel like the 5-day rental thing was a big deal when that happened because games were always like 1, 2, or 3 day rentals, and then when you got a 5-day rental,
and a movie, they're like, take all month with it, whatever you need.
Yeah.
But a video game, you're like, if you don't have that back to tomorrow, it's gonna be $15.
Yeah, you can watch a movie in 2 hours, but a game that takes potentially 30, 40, 50 hours, you got to have back by 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donald McCune. I remember walking with my brother to the local video store to rent NES games on a regular basis. The games weren't on shelves, only the boxes. So you had to ask for the correct number from the employees behind the counter. I remember asking to rent Silent Service from ladies working there that afternoon. Silent Service's number was 69. I couldn't contain my laughter when asking for 69 from the ladies at the store. Walking home, my brother asked why we were laughing.
You know why that's especially funny to me? Because I just watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for the first time at your house the other night.
Yep. 69!
Hey, ladies, can I have 69, please?
I brought this up, though, for mostly because it's a hilarious story. But being a collector, all those NES boxes that are just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
It is sad. Also, Silent Service, great submarine game. One of the best submarine simulation games.
Yes, it is.
Liked it a lot.
A lot.
I like it a lot. Zach, you are up.
Yes, Nathan Summers. I wonder if he's related to Cyclops. I remember going to Family Video, and they had Persona 3 for sale. My friend convinced me to buy it, and it was one of the best purchases of my life. That game took over my life and sparked my love for Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games. First of all, congratulations, Persona 3. Obviously the best Persona. Man, I loved buying games from video stores.
Because they were cheap?
You got such a deal on it. Persona 3, you probably paid $5 for Persona 3.
Probably.
And got 90 hours out of it.
I did the same with Video Outlet when they started selling off games, because it was always like $5 or less.
It's
just get the old games out.
And they throw you the case and everything too.
Well, that was also before we realized the value that these games were going to hold. Like if you look at if you ever find like an old Funko Land newsletter, I think someone was selling them at Midwest Gaming Classic when we were there. They had like Little Samson was like $17 or something now, and that game is going for easily $1,200-$1,300 right now.
Yep.
And you could have bought it. You could have bought a copy of it like with the box and everything for like under $20 back in the day. Like that kind of stuff just kills me. Anyway, man, that was fun. I got one last question I want to ask you guys, and this is kind of posed on the social medias as well. Do you guys think there's any space for renting video games in the future generation of consoles and PC? Can we ever rent games again?
No.
No?
I would say maybe digitally, but there's such closed systems, consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll see something on PC, you know? But like on consoles, I just don't. I mean, see it.
You can basically rent a game on Steam right now, as long as you just like don't play 2 hours of it, right? You can just play.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but you know what I mean, like, because you can still rent movies for like $4 on Amazon Prime or whatever.
You can rent theater movies right now because the theaters aren't open for $20 for 24 hours. Why can't we do that for digital games?
I'm come to think of it, I actually think that could be a viable thing. If like just straight from Microsoft, like I want to purchase this game for 20 hours or however long.
Now, are you talking 20 hours of me having that game available to play on my console or 20 hours of gameplay? Because I feel like those are two different things.
Well, if I have like a block of time Like, I've got the next 24 hours available to do whatever I want, barring sleep. If they could make that game available on my console for like X amount of time, I'd be for it.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like if I were instead of buying, because like right now, I rented a movie on Vudu the other day, and it was $20 to rent this movie. But as soon as I pay that, I have 24 hours of real time from now and tomorrow, 24 hours later, to watch that movie. And once it's done, it's deleted, and I have no access to it on my computer anymore, or my phone or whatever. But with a game, what if instead of paying for a block of time like that from now till 24 hours from now, I buy 10 hours of gameplay time. So as soon as I boot the game up, it starts a timer, and once that 10 hours is gone, I don't have that anymore. I feel like that would be better in terms of prices, because think of $20 to rent a movie seems ridiculous, right?
Yes.
The reason you're paying that premium price is because you're not paying the $10 to go see it in the theater, and they're trying to make their money some way for these movies that they've already produced. Paying $20 for a 24-hour rental on a video game that you could just buy digitally for 3 times more seems kind of ludicrous, depending on how long of a game it is.
What if so AAA titles? What if they did it this way? Pay $10 for 3 hours worth of game time. And like actual game time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like the game, they just knock $10 off of the game.
And then you just purchase it for $50 now instead of $60.
Yeah. Which I'd be okay with that too.
I would absolutely.
Do you guys remember the pricing structure when PlayStation Now launched?
No, I never got into that zeitgeist at all.
But before it was like the $10 a month thing that it is now, which is a good deal. There was different pricing, and you could rent the option to stream it for, I want to say it was for either 4 hours, 7 days, or 30 days per game. So it was like a digital renting thing. And that did not work out at all for them. But it was also back like when it was on PS3.
Yeah, they probably, the hackers and everything, I mean, we have demos. I mean, I guess you're not giving access to the full game. I don't know. Could you do it like where you buy it episodically? Like I can play chapters 1 through 3 of this game for $5, and then if I want to pay 4, 5, and 6, I got to pay another $5. Or
I do wish like every game just had it like a full game. Like if you want to, you can download and play the first hour for free. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I think that would hurt it more than it would help it.
Maybe
because then because how many people are buying the game thinking they're going to love it, and they're already roped in for the $60, and they're never going to play it again, and it doesn't matter.
Or going to a game that you've played. Can you imagine if somebody only played the first hour of Outbuddies?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't like this.
Right.
No.
Or you have people that play...
But it worked very well from his remake. Everybody's talking about that demo.
That's true. But that's also had a lot of word of mouth before. That wasn't a brand new game. I mean, it is new game.
I said I wish. I didn't say it would make sense. I just wish.
Oh, you know what? We've also got a voicemail. I forgot to play that for you guys. We got a voicemail from Kevin Honingford. Would you guys like to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's great.
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, it's Kevin. My video game rental memories were, I actually had a really good when I was younger, and the first job I had, I worked in a store where a video game rental place was in the same building. So there's so many times before or after work I'd head in there and peruse the selection and found out about so many games I loved that way. Also some I didn't love. Looking back at it now, I didn't realize how nice I had it. As far as going forward with them, I'm not sure they'll have a physical storefront ever again. I think digitally is going to be the way they kind of start heading. I know that Xbox Game Pass and PS Now are kind of that thing already. It'd be really cool to see them take it further and release more games, maybe as a demo situation for rental for $5 or to buy for $5 with games. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'd be cool. Thanks. Bye.
I like his idea about demos. I don't know how I feel about paying for a demo. Although it's kind of like what you were talking about.
You were all about the Final. You said they should put out the Final Fantasy VII demo for $5.
You're right, but that was also a massively hyped game. You know what I mean? That was more. That was not a. I want to play this demo to be sold on the game. I just want to play and see how that feels like right now. I would be willing to because I know I'm going to love it and I want to check it out.
Mm.
That was speaking of also, that was like my mom's reasoning for me renting games was not, I'm renting a game to see if it's worth me buying. That was my mom's mentality. No, like I'm renting the game because I want to try to beat it and get it in this 1 or 2 day rental period, right? You don't rent a movie to see if you want to buy it.
No, but again, the length is different.
That's true. But some of those early Nintendo games you could beat in a day easily, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine like somebody renting like Red Dead Redemption 2
and getting like 1/47th of the way through the game. Actually, 1/97th of the way through the game.
Oh.
In a
To me,
day.
that would just be a miserable experience.
Right.
Well, yeah, the first hour is like walking.
Yep. Oh, that was fun.
Or The Witcher 3. I want to rent The Witcher 3 again.
At least you actually get into the game in the first hour there.
Well, guys, that was a fun topic. That was really good. Thank you so much to Kevin for the voicemail. Just a reminder, if you would like to call us and hear your voice potentially read on the show, be sure to call us. Our number is 347-746-2278. Or if you'd like an easy way to remember that, 3477-GO-CAST. Again, 3477-GO-CAST. Speaking of our community, we have some new Facebook members to say hello to. John Catan and Brandon Thompson joined the Facebook group. If you'd like to join that community, the site is facebook.com/groups/the-GO-CAST. Also, we have a Discord community with lots of great conversations going on. The link for that is in the show notes of this episode, so look for it there. Want to say hello to Zep Atlantis and Chris. Chris is spelled with a 1 for the I. Also, do us a favor if you get a chance, hop over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, drop us a review, let us know what you think of the show. That really helps us get some exposure out there. And we also have our website, thegamingoutsider.com, where we've got written reviews, access to all the episodes, and very soon our online merchandise store where you'll be able to purchase things like 3D printed items and eventually Gaming Outsider masks for protection from COVID-19. So stay tuned for that. That's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider, though. Zach, any parting words before we get out of here?
Everybody listening to this, the Green Lantern 80th Anniversary 100-page plus special comics coming out this week. Buy 9 copies. Thank you.
9 copies. All right.
Jeff Johns is writing his first Green Lantern story since his historic run came to a close in 2013. I could not be giddier.
Nice. CB, how about you?
I really got nothing this week. I'm still just processing Last of Us 2. Play the game.
It's been almost 24 hours since I beat that game, and I'm still digesting and reeling from what I experienced. Stay tuned for a spoiler cast. That's going to be a deep dive discussion for sure. So, thank you so much, everybody out there, for listening. Our show is produced by the illustrious Nate Lucas. The music that you hear and the intro, outro, and all of our bumpers are produced by Grant Henry from Stemage Band and Metroid Metal. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.